As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's bumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff and Lukas. Booner will be joining us in a little bit here. Hey, great show planned for today. We got, three guests? Three different guests on today. So I'm excited for that. We got Morgan Cannon joining from Pride of Detroit. We got DoseOfDion joining the show. You guys know who Dose is. We also have Scott Bischoff joining. We can pick his brain on kind of the upcoming matchup this week, the X's and O's. Maybe even the Jimmies and Joes. You know
Jimmy's,
what I mean?
it's not all about the X's and the O's, Hefe. Sometimes it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. That's what it is. The Pat O'Connors, the Jamal Adams, the Jimmies, and the Joes.
Now, I do have, before we start, we got Thursday Night Football beginning. We have the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm struggling with something, and this is where I lean on the chat. You know what I'm saying? When I'm honest, and I'm honest right now, okay? I'm trying to bet a touchdown score with this live boost that is currently being offered on FanDuel. Now, I don't know who to bet on. Live score.
Did Kittle score last week?
That's what I don't know. If I'm placing a bet on a live touchdown score for a boost, what would you guys say in the chat? Who would you go with? Because that's the one thing I'm struggling with, honestly.
And ETN, I'm pretty sure, ETN, ball don't lie. He's in the chat. Tell me what you think. And I was talking to Hefe before the game. I saw they're using that boy Blake Corum down in the red zone last week, and there was a couple of times he got down like the 2 or 3 yard line. I'm telling you, he's sitting at plus 650 right now. On 25% boost that.
That's like if you're betting on Blake Corum, you may need to call the hotline. You may need to call the hotline. I
game last week and the week before.
Is he getting more carries, Blake Corum?
He is. Because McVay came out and said that he wants to keep Kyron fresh. So be interesting.
Yeah, he did. He's got 8 carries the last 2 games. Oh gosh, stop doing this, Klotz.
Come on.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so we got Bonjay says Nakua, Wheezy D says Juwan Jennings. I like both of those. Ball don't lie. The Rams fans is Kyron first TD. I'm looking at it. It's plus 500.
That's like a Monty line. Come on.
Yeah, Kyron first TD. Is it in LA or no? It's in San Francisco.
It's in San Fran.
Yeah, I'm going to use that live boost, so we'll see who I end up placing it on. I mean, at minus money, I think Kyron's like minus 100. You probably boost it to what, like a little bit of plus money? You could probably get him at plus money, to be honest with you. Because he scored He scored last week, I think.
I think twice.
So maybe he's the safe option. First TD, though. That's I don't mind that. But we got a lot to get to. Obviously, the injury report update we have, and we got some more. Hey, we got some new practice participants that it is pretty significant. The big fella did practice. The big fella did practice today. DJ Reader, and let me pull this up for you guys. DJ Reader I think it was a limited practice. Let me pull it up on our Twitter, which you guys can follow at @OfficialCTPod. We have here. Let me pull this up for you. Okay, so today had practice. This is who was there. So on our Twitter, you can check it out. So we have Trevor Nowaski. Apparently got a concussion. I don't even remember. He must have just popped up.
Yeah, because he wasn't. I don't remember seeing that. What was it, Tuesday? Because they did not practice on Tuesday, so there's no report or anything out. And then that was when we were like, oh, DJ, he might not play because he hasn't practiced yet. Aleem, Josh. But Trevor's definitely more recent than it'd have to be either yesterday or today that it happened.
Yeah, it has to be, I mean, like recently, because he wasn't on there yesterday. So to your point, yeah. Well, Levi Onwuzurike, limited practice. That's good news. But again, so he's still participating. The big one here, Josh Pascal. Full practice on Thursday. So he's going to be ready to go. Aleem McNeil, he's good as new. We talked about it yesterday. Taylor Decker, he's back. DJ Reader, that's another big one.
Yeah.
Limited practice for DJ Reader. He was the one that I was a little I was confident he would be playing, but I was really looking forward to seeing if he practiced today or not, because he warmed up yesterday with the fellas and he is back. Limited practice. So Levi, DJ, Josh, it's 3 defensive linemen that'll probably play. That's great news. Great news. And the Trevor Nowatzki thing, that kind of stinks. But, hey, you signed a couple linebackers. Yeah, they got some more
You'll
depth.
be all right. I think that, and this, whenever we talk about these two players, it almost sounds disrespectful. When you're talking about Trevor Nowatzki and Ben Neiman, I think Trevor Nowatzki is a little bit more athletic, but I don't think you're losing sleep over losing either of those guys because I think they're pretty, you know what you're getting out of either of them. They're not going to disappoint you, and they might excite you at some point, but consistently, there's guys on this team that can do what they're doing. So Trevor Nowatzki, great special teams player. I won't discount that. Very good situationally on defense, but you have Jamal Adams, you got Quan Alexander, you got Jack Campbell. You're going to be all right without Trevor Nowatzki for a week. David Long, Ezekiel Turner. Like, they just got a rotation of guys that are on that same tier, if not a little bit better.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right. Because could Quan play, Sam? Quan?
Oh, yeah. Quan could play. He could play anywhere, to be honest. Like, he's not going to be somebody you set down at the edge. He's not going to be like a James Houston. But, I mean, the amount of looks that dude has seen over the past, I don't know how long he's been in the NFL, 8-9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Situation, different schemes. Quan, especially playing with AG before, that's a guy that you ask Quan to do something at that linebacker position, he'll find a way to manage to at least make some production out of it.
Now, I did make a video today. I doubled down on Jamal Adams, and some people in the comments, a couple people were with me, a couple people were roasting me. And you know, I doubled down because I really do think with more of an opportunity and another week of practice, for Jamal Adams, you're going to start seeing him blossom. I know it sounds crazy. And when he was signed, I made the reel and talked more about what I thought of the signing itself. And my big thing was just being skeptical. I said I didn't know what to expect. I was pretty honest. But my thing now, and what I'm starting to learn, listening to some of these press conferences and watching Jamal last week, is I did like what I saw to Jamal in 8 snaps. I know it's crazy. It's 8 snaps. Like, what are you talking about? Guy was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. All right. I know. And I said in the video, he had like a cup of coffee last week. Okay. 8 snaps. I understand that. But this week, I said 30 snaps at the minimum. And someone in the comments, because I'll read the comments. I love checking what people are saying. Someone said, what the hell, 30 snaps? It'll probably be, 15 snaps, 20 snaps. Before I discuss that more, what do you think about that, Klotzy? What are you expecting to see? Obviously, we don't have inside information. We'll talk to Morgan about it when he joins. But how many snaps do you as a fan, expect Jamal to play? What would be your guess?
And it was 2 drives last week. So what was it, about 8 to 10 snaps? So looking at that, then you compound the injury that we just talked about in Trevor Nowatzki. I'd probably put him around like 20, 25. And if the game gets closer, I think Jamal, he's obviously hasn't been in the scheme for a long time, but being a veteran, if you got, again, we'll just get back into that same conversation. Ben Neiman or Jamal Adams, who you want out there with a close game on the line, especially with, we talked about Jamal Adams being in the AFC East in his past, playing for the Jets, matching up with Josh Allen twice a year. He's played in big games before. This is kind of a Super Bowl preview. And when he was in Seattle, he's going up against the Niners all the time on prime time, the Rams. So he's seen a ton of these big moments compared to a couple other guys in this linebacker room. So I don't think he's going to go out there and play every snap. But I think especially early on to throw in some wrinkles, he'll be out there, like I said, between 20, 25 snaps. It could even be a little bit more depending on how the situation goes. But I don't think he's going to be out there getting the full workload that he's going to be getting. Because I think even when we get into the playoffs, we're going to see more Jamal Adams than we will on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's why, and in the video, I talked more about kind of what to expect from him, I think, with Josh Allen and the quarterback he is. And by the way, Trey, you mentioned this yesterday, Klotzy, and Trey's spot on too. He's a veteran. He's faced the Bills before. He's familiar with that division. And I think, and to Trey, what Trey just put, it also depends on what they see in practice. Absolutely. But I do, and maybe I have some delusion, but at the same time, I really do believe it. Like, I really do believe Jamal this week will get more of a run, and there will be a play or 2 or even 3 where we're going to look up during our watch party and be like, holy crap, Jamal Adams just made a huge play, whether that's a third down sack or a sack in general, forced fumble, tackle for loss, plays in the run game. Like, I think I'm not relying on him to cover Dalton Kincaid throughout the game, but I think with the linebacker core the way it is, you're going to need someone to step up. And Klotzy, David Long's there. He's available.
He is.
Like fantasy right now, fantasy draft. I could take him. He's staring right at me. But I'm taking Jamal Adams this week.
Yeah, you would. And he might not be able to stay up with Dalton Kincaid, but I think he can hold his own against like a Dawson Knox. Like if the Lions, obviously Aaron Glenn loves going man coverage. You got Keon Coleman coming back, so he's going to be on the outside with either You got Shakir. Who else you got there that I'm mind blanking on right now?
Receivers?
Yeah, you got
Curtis
Keon, you
Samuel?
got Shakir, Curtis Samuel, you got Matt Collins.
Amari
Those are the guys
Cooper?
that I'm not. Thank you. I was like, I know I'm missing out on a big one. Amari
The
Cooper,
big-
because you
yeah.
figure Carlton's probably going to be following Amari around preferably. I'm sure they're not going to shadow him. But then you got Keon on the outside, and you got Amik on Shakir. If you want to run man defense, I don't think Jamal Adams on Dawson Knox when he is in there, even Kincaid, you can give a little help. But when you look at Jamal, I think he can hold his own situationally with those two. So I think even in pass coverage, he's not the Jamal Adams of old, but I think he gives you a better look than some of the other linebackers on this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I do. I think that's why I wanted to go to the chat on this now that we're live. I got to read the comments, but I genuinely was asking, like, am I crazy for expecting some special things this weekend from Jamal Adams? And Trey's comment here, Jeff, don't you feel like he'll be more in on running plays? He's a better run stopper. No, I do absolutely believe that. He will be in on run plays. I have to double check. I looked at this earlier. I forgot what was his snap count with run play, against the run versus pass. And he had if I'm not mistaken, it was pretty even because again, he could rush the passer. I mean, this is a guy who had 9.5 sacks in a year. He's got, that was the big thing with Jamal is like people expected him to be this big cover safety. And he's just not. Like he's a hard hitter, can get after the quarterback a little bit. He's kind of in the box type of guy, but old school safety, go out there.
I mean, on the first play of the game, Aaron Glenn had that man starting at the nickel spot, and they sent him at Jordan Love right away, like without hesitation, and him getting to Jordan Love. Yeah, he got picked up and he got blocked, but he collapsed that pocket. Jordan Love had to step up. Big Z, Zadarius Smith standing right there, so he was making an impact. Next play, they try running the ball. He absolutely sets the edge there, turns them the other way to Lee McNeil and the fellas. And it was a good just compound plays between him. He's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but at this point with Jamal Adams, what do you expect him to do? Go light up 8 tackles a game? Like, no, you're asking him to help the other guys around him, help Jack Campbell get 8 tackles a game, help Lee McNeil get 5 tackles a game and a tackle for loss. Zadarius Smith, help him get a sack, which he's been doing. At this point of his career, I think he realizes that, and that's why he doesn't mind coming to Detroit and playing linebacker and nickelback a little bit more than he does safety. So I think it's going to be interesting, but I agree with you. Like, it's easy to write Jamal off because he is a veteran. He's lost that step. But at the same time, how many times have you seen veteran players, like even when J.J. Watt in his last season with the Arizona Cardinals, Hall of Fame type of talent. I'm not saying Jamal Adams is a J.J. Watt, but you see these players when they're veterans, they'll have success in different situations when it's set up for them to succeed because it's like, wow, this is what we've been waiting for. Even just look at Zadarius Smith of the Lions. He had how many sacks in Cleveland? 4? 5?
Yeah, like I think 5, yeah.
He has that in Detroit already. And so he had Myles Garrett on the other side of him. Who does he have on the other side of him now? You got El Quadid Muhammad, AQM, love him. That's no Myles Garrett. So I think the proof is in the pudding that guys in general play better for Aaron Glenn. But when you have a guy who had Hall of Fame talent at one point, I think he's bound for success.
Let's bring on someone that I think would have way more insight to this and someone that I'm excited to talk to, man. He does great work. Pride of Detroit's own. Mr. Morgan Cannon. So let's bring him in. Morgan, how you doing, my man? How you doing?
What's up, boys?
Hey, Morgan.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, no, pleasure's ours, man. We appreciate you joining. I want to pick your brain on some things here because it's game week, Lions Bills. It's a huge weekend. I want to start with some of the injuries. Kind of get your thoughts on the whole debacle now with the defensive line kind of returning. Levi, Josh, DJ were out last week. People were freaking out, including myself. Now you're getting some practice time from those guys. What do you make of kind of some guys that are coming back? What's the feeling you get? And also Trevor Nowatzki popping up on the injury report. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I sorry, I broke up a little bit there. So if there's anything else you need to throw in there, let me know.
Gotcha.
But I'm happy to get people back. It'll help, man, because Josh Allen's playing as good as anybody in football right now, to put it simply. Like alien level. Like, did y'all watch the Rams Bills game last week?
Yeah. That dude, that's like the definite. When people say like quarterback you win because of, I know people freak out. Like, in some cases, Morgan, that shit's true. I mean, that dude kept him in the game. So yeah, I get you.
Because Stafford was going crazy too. Stafford was going crazy, and then they were just going blow for blow, and that's why I got into it, like talking it with Miko. But we were talking about it like you saw McVay get really aggressive because I'm sure he looked across the side, like across the field, and was like, all right, we're probably not going to stop this guy. the rest of the game. So we got to get aggressive. But
Right.
It'll be nice, like y'all said, going back to the injury report, getting some people back and just having a little bit more a talent to go with. You know what I mean? Like they were getting thin. Like when Aleem went out, man, I don't know about y'all, but I was nervous. Like we sit right there by the tunnel. And so we saw him leave and I was like, oh man, then he went in the tent and then he didn't come out the second half. And I was like, we got Pat O'Connor, EMU's finest out there. But yeah, it'll be nice to get some bodies back, man. Because you're gonna need it. Like he's just playing incredible. That's my MVP right now. I know we talked about that, I think, last time I was on here. So for good reason.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah, and we just talked about it with Stafford, and I just because we're on the conversation, I'm very interested to see what you have to say from it. Obviously, Lions fan, you've seen this team kind of develop over the last couple of years. If there's one team who they haven't beat the Lions, but given the Lions everything they could handle, it is the LA Rams. And when you look at how they're playing right now, Seattle's winning that division currently. But if you look down the line, even at a wild card spot, I think the Rams make the playoffs. Do the Rams coming to Ford Field potentially, does that matchup kind of give you like, I think the Lions will win, but it's making you nervous? Where would you stand on that type of situation with the Rams, Matthew Stafford coming back to Detroit for a third time now?
Is it breaking up still?
Yeah,
it did for a minute. Did you ask about the Seahawks and leading the division, and then if the Rams have to come here?
Yeah, so if a possible Rams-Lions matchup in the playoffs again.
My bad. I don't know why it's breaking up so
good,
bad. I don't know if it's on my end or what, but I would not like that. I would not like that, man. I'll be honest with you. They're one of the teams because they have, like you said, Lucas, they've given us a lot, like the playoff game and then week 1 this year. And they looked, pretty scary last week, man. That had me pretty shook. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, just seeing them operate at that level. But then again, I don't know. Like, do I think their defense could slow down the Lions at all? No. So I think you'd be looking at Stafford to try to win another shootout. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Morgan, I did want to ask you the matchup here. Josh Allen with his legs. Lions defense. What do you think that kind of entails? What's early feelings from you on that matchup problems?
One of my fears with playing the Bills is how much man the Lions play. AG loves to play man, and to be honest, it's working well because you got Carlton, you got Amik and Terrion, and you got guys who can run with people. But watching the tape last week, he was killing them, man, because the Rams were manning up. And he'd be 15 yards down the field before a lot of people realized he was running. Right. And that's the risk you take when you do play a lot of man against a quarterback like Josh Allen. So that'll be something I'll be watching for sure, is because I think the Lions may have to play a little more zone than they typically do, just because you don't want so many backbreakers. You guys know what I'm talking about. Everyone's on their feet in Ford Field. You're about to get off the field. It's 3rd and long. Everyone's covered, and then he runs for someone like Josh Allen or Lamar, or someone like that. They run for 16 yards, step out of bounds, and you're like, well, that sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a backbreaker. So that's what I want to avoid.
No, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Something to kind of
compound. I was good, man. I wanted y'all to you'll go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Klotz.
Something kind of to compound with the Josh Allen question. Talk about that man coverage. A player that for the Bills that had success, and without a doubt his best week last week was Amari Cooper. When you look at Amari Cooper, very good route runner, always has been through the course of his career. That's how you beat man coverage on the outside. Do you think that Carlton Davis is going to be, or Terrion, whoever's matched up on him, do you think they're going to be able to limit Amari? Because if Amari gets going, I think that's how this Bills offense through the air can really take off.
Good question, Klotz.
Yeah, so you asked about Amari Cooper getting off, right?
Yep.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why my internet's pretty good typically. Good, good. So I don't know if it's on me tonight.
No, you're fine.
All good.
Okay. So yeah, if they have all hands on deck, man, that's a scary receiving core in my opinion. Like Shakir's playing really well. I think him and Amik will be like some must-see TV. I don't know. What do y'all think? You know how it goes typically. Sometimes they'll have Carlton travel. I think this will be a game where they'll probably just stay on sides. You know what I'm saying? Like let Terrion stay on one side and let Carlton stay on one side. But what do y'all think? You think they'll let would you want Carlton to travel with Cooper?
Go ahead, Klotz.
I mean, me preferably for sure, because I think when you look at who else is going to be on the outside, it's going to be a rookie and Keon Coleman coming off an injury. Got rookie on rookie with Terrion and Keon, but in my opinion, I don't think AG rolls like that. I think he's going to be, okay, Terrion, we drafted you in the first round. You've covered Justin Jefferson before. You've covered Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, DJ Moore. You've covered these guys before. Time to get a piece of Amari Cooper. Pause. But I think that Aaron Glenn, he's not going to hold Terrion back from any wide receiver matchup at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that, Klotz. I agree with that.
Hefe? Or is it me?
Yeah, I think that's how they'll go too. But I'd be with y'all. I think I would if I could. Oh, what'd you say?
No, you're good, Morgan.
I would have Carlton shadow Amari Cooper if I could pick.
That's how I do it.
Yeah. And real quick, you know what? I want to get.
This is beating me down tonight, guys. I don't know. I'm gonna have to call Xfinity or something.
No, hey, you're fighting through it, Morgan. You're fighting through it. You're showing some grit, just like the hat you got on. So, it's all good. I'll ask you though. I do want to get your opinion on this. Score prediction. How do you see this game playing out? How do you see this game playing out? Give me a score prediction.
Do you guys ask for a prediction? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Figure this out.
You're
I got little bits of it.
We're fighting.
Yeah, we're fighting. We're in there. Yeah.
I think my official POD prediction was 38-31 Lions is what I'm going to go with. 38-31 Lions shootout.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I like that, Morgan. I don't mind that. I think the Lions could pose some matchup problems. I don't hate that at all. By the way,
I think. What about y'all?
Yeah, I think the Lions win. I will say that. Honestly, I don't think your score prediction is as crazy as it sounds. Like, I know when probably Bills fans hear that shit, they're gonna be like, "What?" But like, I think the Lions are going to cause problems on offense. I think you saw what the Rams did last week, so I'm with you there, Morgan. We'll give our score predictions out Friday, but I'll say this: I got the Lions winning. I don't hate your score prediction at all.
I'm holding my answer. I'm still deciding with what's going to happen with this game, just because this is truly a Super Bowl type of matchup, and I think Josh Allen and the Bills coming off a loss is what really makes me think twice about this, because I think them coming off a loss against a team they should have beat on the road, back on the road, not a prime time game, but might as well be 425 game of the week for sure. I don't know what's going to happen score wise. I'm leaning towards the Lions, but I'm not ready to lock it in quite yet. Got a little bit more digging to do. Got a little bit more digging to do.
Yeah, you contemplating. All right. Hey, Morgan, we appreciate you for joining. You guys can check out Morgan on Twitter at @MCannon.
I feel you, man. I'm with you. I wish they'd won last week.
Yeah, he's having some internet issues. By the way, Morgan, it's all good. Don't even worry about it, bro. You were good last week. It's probably on our end, probably just connecting, whatever it is, bro. We appreciate you for joining, and good luck this weekend. Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate y'all, man. We'll work on the internet thing. Good Lord. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Have a good night. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, no problem. There you go. Morgan Cannon haven't been yet. He's fighting through it, dude. He's a dog. Yeah. He's all good. Hey, internet, it happens. All right.
It happens to the best of us.
We do a remote show. It's gonna have some internet issues. No biggie at all. Morgan's just chill through it though. He's not even phased.
he was ready for all the questions. I've been there many of times. If anybody knows about Wi-Fi issues, it's me. So don't sweat it, Morgan. Appreciate you coming on.
No, Klotz.
That was something though, dude. That was hilarious. I'm sorry. There was a couple of times where I was like, woo! You're just like, oh, the gap where it's like you literally can just like feel the time just like ticking and ticking.
Yeah, no,
obviously not his fault. And
it's not.
He had good stuff to say too. So.
No, he's a smart guy. That's why I love bringing him back. It sucks when there's internet issues. I mean, the delay That was great, man. Shout out to Morgan, dude. Shout out to Morgan. Guy's a trooper.
Hey, shout out to Laner too. Hey, take this moment to respect Klotz Internet. It's been good for
You
a
know
long
what?
time now.
Laner, you're absolutely right. Let's give Klotz. Hey, give Klotz a little round of applause.
It's got that Sam Darnold reincarnation effect right now. It's top 5 internet, not top 1, but it's playing. It's performing like a top 5 internet system. That's what it's doing.
Well, Easy's not gonna like that in the chat. He's not gonna like that at all. Hey, shout out Super Bowl Cartier. He was in another chat. I said what up to him. To the chat. He was in there, but it was an NFC North chat. You ever see those? I tune in a little bit. It was like NFC Roundtable. It was like Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears creators all in one little thought. I've never seen this before. I joined. I was like, "Yo, what is going on here, boys?" Like a little meeting.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I joined. I said what up for the Crunch Time account. A couple people in there were like, "Yo, what up?" I was like, "Good show, fellas." They had like 50 viewers. I was like, "Hey,
come on,
we're there now. We get it. It's not a big deal." All right, let's see, Michael. It is exciting about the Lions that the Lions defense is getting healthy. We could do anything about losing. We can't do anything about losing 4 of our top 5 linebackers to long-term injury, but along with Jack Campbell to the new guys to provide hope. Yeah, you can't do anything. I mean, not the linebackers, yes, but I mean more than that. Just the injuries in general. There's nothing you can. You have to control what you can control. And for Aaron Glenn, it seems a little bit like an uphill battle. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to say this now because we'll get into it more tomorrow. But I think this game on Sunday is a good measuring stick for this defense. I know we talk a lot about this defense, like situationally being good, and maybe the stats. It might be some skewed stats. Their bend don't break. Like you're going to find out on Sunday if this is not the end all be all, but it's going to be a good test for this defense to be like, okay, when you get to a Super Bowl, that's the plan. Can you handle a quarterback like that? Whether it's Josh Allen or whoever, Lamar Jackson. I mean, again, whoever. It's going to be a good measuring stick, like a litmus test for this defense. And that's what I'm honestly excited to see because especially if you get Josh, Levi, DJ back, that's your defensive line. Like that's the defensive line you're rolling in the Super Bowl with. So, I mean, I get the injuries, but we're talking about just up front. That's the defensive front you will have. Maybe not the front 7 because you'll get Anzo back. Maybe Derek. We'll see. You might not have Trevor, but you get my point. That defensive line, good test against a good quarterback.
I mean, the Buffalo Bills, they have an MVP level quarterback. They don't have a all-pro wide receiver, but I think they have a very solid wide receiver core. I think 1 through 3, they're probably a top 10 to 12 wide receiver core in the NFL. Dalton Kincaid, he's no joke. We talk about that offensive line, and then James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. That's a very good trio at the running back position. And this is a team that did just recently beat the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. So when you add all those things together, I know they have some injuries in the secondary and defense, but when you look at the Lions offense, they're going to put up points regardless. I think more specifically for this defense, this is when they're truly going to be tested. I know that's what you're leading at, but there's nobody in the NFC playoffs that are going to be able to do what the Buffalo Bills are going to do to you on Sunday. Not saying win or loss, but how they're going to execute the plays that they're going to be trying to perform. There's not going to be that in the NFC. You look over in the AFC, those are the more dominant teams. If you have a chance to go and beat the number 1 team in the AFC at home, locking up the 1 seed, not yet, but it gives you a little step closer. This team can just keep stacking momentum with these injuries are out, because while they are dealing with injuries, that's going to derail some momentum. If you can keep winning and winning and winning, I almost think that gives you more momentum than you would if you had all those players healthy and you're winning. So I think the fact that they just keep overcoming, it's like, who could actually stop us right now? The Buffalo Bills, that is definitely a team that can. So we'll see on Sunday, but this will be a monumental win. This will probably be one of the bigger wins in Ford Field ever outside of playoff game last year with the Rams. This will be a huge game to see what happens later down the line. At least get a little peek of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you could, dress it up however you want. That's the conversation that I don't know if too many people are having right now. I get the positive stuff, a lot of positive things, but the reality is this Bills offense, especially last week. I mean, they scored. Well, Josh Allen single-handedly scored 6 touchdowns, but
6 of them things.
Yeah, but they didn't have Keon. They didn't have Dalton Kincaid. Like James Cook, which I do think this week it'll be a similar. Like he ain't going to be much of a factor, but still they're getting some weapons back. So good.
I think, and I'm definitely going to ask Dion when he joins, because I'm interested to see how committed they are to James Cook this week. Because when you see all the games with the Bills, they're like, the Bills are the number one team in the AFC. It's not the Kansas City. That's when it's like when James Cook gets going, and they in order to beat the Lions, what do we talk about all the time? Got to be able to run the ball. So I'm going to ask Dion, but I'm interested to see how they utilize him this week.
Let's get Boone in here. Boone, what's going on, brother?
Boone. Hey, beautiful night, fellas.
Hello?
Took me a little bit to get here. I mean, there's an absolute blizzard outside. Blizzard.
I had to work outside for 9 hours.
Crazy.
Dude. My skin feels like
it's nuts, though.
so dry. It was miserable.
Yeah.
Doing good, though, boys. Having a good night. I'm ready for Dion. Let's talk some football.
Hey, moments like this make me appreciate that the Lions play indoors. This shit sucks. If you're at the game.
Never go away from the
Bills, by the way, before we bring Dion, Bills players had to have virtual practice.
Yeah, they did today, yeah.
Yeah, the weather was so bad they had to have virtual practice. And what are you doing? You're in your like living room with the computer, out, like doing drills and shit. Like, what are you doing at home?
They're probably just watching film and doing walkthroughs on their tablets.
Walkthroughs? You're just like,
well, I mean, like going through plays like mentally and stuff. I mean, they're not. It's not the first time. I mean, it's probably an advantage for the Lions, but it's definitely happened multiple times last year
for sure. Let's bring in Dion. You guys know who he is. Valued member, very valued guest of the Crunch Time Sports program. Let's bring him in, Mr. Dion. Let's get him in here. Dion, what's going on, my man?
Man, you know what? I'll tell you what you guys were saying, it really made me think. And I'm like, it is that time. It is. I don't know if this is we need to pause on this or what, but this is Vaseline season, right, Chad? This is Vaseline season. It's Carmex season. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, there's nothing like the feeling when your lips are jacked up. You put a little Carmex there. Oh, my goodness. It's amazing. But it's great to be back, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
Hey, Dion. No, we appreciate you, man. By the way, don't worry. I got the Aquaphor.
Okay.
Hey, it gets bad out here, man. Seriously, it's a problem. All right, let me pick your brain on some things regarding the Detroit Lions, because obviously the Bills game, man, it's massive. I know you've been covering as well some of the injuries. What do you think? I'll ask you the significance of having DJ Reader back potentially, and some of the other guys, Josh and Levi, that didn't play last week. What do you think about those guys returning? Because again, Dion, this will be the defensive line. I said it a couple minutes ago. You're going into the Super Bowl with. You're going into the playoffs with. What do you make of those guys getting back?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's everything. I mean, like, I think the question that was brought up about the commitment.
Oh, no.
I don't want to go too far into that.
What I mean? The mic.
Oh, it's the.
It started out so well.
Oh, my.
It's
this show. All right. Give me a second.
I swear we are cursed.
We can't get a break.
I don't know what happened with the first guest, but I tuned in for a little bit and I could tell there was definitely a problem. And I was like, oh, no.
Dude.
It might just be us. I mean, I don't know what we have to figure out tech side of things. I don't know how, but it's crazy.
I think it's just bad. Like we're cursed. I don't know. Like to
be fair, Dion said it's never happened on a different show, but we have like as well as the thing with Dion, the voice thing. Every time he starts off, we'll introduce him and it'll be smooth. And then as soon as we ask the first question and he goes into it, it happens. It's the same time every time.
He said it happened one time when he recorded like a 10-minute video and he was spitting on it.
Brutal, man. I would be so mad.
And whenever he returns, though, it's always usually good to go.
Well,
it's always good.
Bro looks so mad.
Jeff, brought him in.
Not great. I'm hoping it's working right now.
You sound good, Dion. We're back.
This is the most confusing thing ever. I don't understand. I get so lost with this. Tell me, you know what, computer people, tell me why my microphone all of a sudden becomes my headset too. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what that is, that configuration in the settings. But my bad. What was the question? I completely forgot. I'm sorry.
No. Understandable. Goodness. Understandable. I'll ask you, defensive line getting back healthy. What do you think of these guys all coming back?
Okay, yeah, no, I think it's everything for this game. Now, I will say the Trevor Nowoski one, man, that had me a little bit depressed today. That's just the one positional group where it's like, are you serious, man? This got concussion. I mean, everybody's having to step in and just pull a little bit more weight, right? And it's like all of a sudden, bam, this guy now has concussion. But for the defensive line, the question that was brought up earlier, and I don't want to go all the way into it, but it's just, this is going to be, to me, about stopping James Conner. Like, when I look at this passing attack, honestly, it doesn't concern me a ton. I think they have some good weapons. I don't think it's a bad passing attack. We're not going to shut it down. But I think when you look at, like, what this team is at their best, it's truly when James Cook is rolling. Like, that's who they are. That's what's made all the questions that came into the offseason. That's what answered everything. It was like, oh, we're going to run the football. That's why they used the 6 offensive linemen and all these tight ends, and that'll change because last week they really couldn't use 2 tight ends because their second tight end was a disaster when they don't have Dalton Kincaid. So to me, everything starts and kind of finishes here with what it's going to look like with Dalvin Cook, because this isn't a team that I feel like beats you with creativity up front. I mean, to the point where you're watching this team and you could just see the offensive line will literally cheat to where they're going on run plays. It's crazy. I'm watching it today. I'm like, dude, the right guard's like standing on top of the right tackle so he can block this guy. Like, they cheat to their spots to that point where it's like, we're going to run the football. So I think it's everything to have those guys, and I think it's an excellent challenge.
Yeah, Dion, you brought up the Trevor Nowatzki injury. Just kind of in general, the defense, they've had to add all these pieces, the Quan Alexander, Jamal Adams. How do you think those guys have done so far, and kind of what are your expectations, even going into this week with just some of these newer guys on defense to step up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see where everybody's at with the Jamal Adams thing, because the response, of course, was going to be like, some people love it, some people are like, this is not it. And I'll be honest, like, when we first made the move and I saw it, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be made as a big deal, but it's probably not going to be. But I couldn't help myself. I started watching Jamal Adams. I'm like, wait a second. I think we might have a dog here. If we use him correctly, you can't help it. Like, he pops. He looks different when you watch him. You're like, especially when he's down there messing around in the box. Like, this guy, he's just has a different skill set that you don't find. And I think it's going to be valuable down the road. And I think there is, with the Trevor Nowatzki injury, there's a path to him having a huge role in this game. I could just see that opening up, because it's like, why not? He's going to step in and play the run anyways. He can deal with tight ends. I could see the path to being a lot of Jamal Adams this week, but I love the Quan Alexander addition. I think to see him outsnap David Long, I think he did by 1 immediately, I think says a lot for where this could go forward, and I love it because a lot of these spots were like, well, this guy's going to come back, but we know when he's coming back, but it's at the end of the year. Having a guy like Quan Alexander, I think he's going to ultimately kind of end up replacing David Long. Don't dislike David Long. I just didn't think he was making plays, but I think it raised his play. I thought David Long was just playing super aggressive. It got him into trouble a little bit, but I thought he was super aggressive because Quan Alexander was there. So I think he's really kind of help us solidify it a little bit just in the meantime, because we do lose some things. Like, Alex has a little bit more flexibility, I feel like, than what you get with Quan and what you get with David Long. They're kind of like pigeonholed into their role. You know exactly who they are, but there's real limitations to that. But to me, Quan plays it at a more consistent level, and I'm just hoping that with like more time, this whole 10 days off kind of thing, just more time, it's like, hey, the little play where a guy's running behind him, like, that stuff doesn't pop up. The guy's played football. He understands this defense. I think it's just more time for him. But I'm very excited about that move because I think he really stabilizes, and we got to give a shot to this defensive line, dude. I mean, we got guys Miles Adams is doing some work last week. I'm like, are you kidding? This guy's doing some work. Jonah Williams. I mean, these guys were literally like, there is no other option. You have to play. It got to that point. It's like, I don't even know. I guess they're playing, and here they were, and give them credit because they, at very least, they held it down. They were solid enough.
Yeah, they held it down, and they're going to have their hands full again this week. And you got Josh Allen, but I kind of mentioned right before you came on, Dion, what do you think is going to happen with James Cook? They had, I believe, under 10 carries for 20 yards. And if you go back and look at what happens with the Bills, when James Cook gets 20 on the dot, he comes back and he usually has one of those bigger games throughout the year. So what do you think the Bills' plan is going to be utilizing James Cook? Because obviously this Lions offense puts up some points. That's their strength. The way to keep him off, run the ball. So what do you think James Cook is going to look like on Sunday?
Yeah, I feel like this is a bad comparison because I in sort of ways have used this before, but they do remind me in some ways of watching the Indianapolis Colts offense. Like, I get some vibes of that with Khalil Shakir kind of as their Josh Downs, and then they have these just monster receivers out wide. Now with Amari Cooper, it's like, oh, they have a number one, and you just like a 3rd down and 9. It's like, yeah, he's just gonna throw a go ball to him. It's like there's nothing fancy. He's throwing either a curl or it's a go ball. It's one of the two. There's not a lot of route diversity there for Amari Cooper, but it's like, but then they make the plays, and Josh is gonna make it happen. I think it helps out their pass protection. I don't trust this team as a team that wants to throw the ball a ton. I understood they put up a lot of points last week, but to your point, I don't think that's at all the Bills' recipe for what they're like, hey, how do we win a Super Bowl? Let's make it look like that. Like, I think they're trying to avoid that at all costs to make a game play like that, because I think last week we saw, I think they converted a lot of times in bad situations where it's not going to constantly work out that way. And that's the way I'm looking at it. It's like, that just can't be the case. You just can't give up 3rd and 10 plus. Like, just don't do that, because I truly think they're going to come back and say, we got to find a way to make this work with James Cook. I don't know that it'll work that well, to your guys' point, and if that's the case, I think we're in a great spot. So I would expect a lot of screens. I think the running backs are going to get involved a lot in a pass game. and they're going to try to make it an extension because I really don't think they'll find much just straight downhill success. If they do, they'll lean on that, and it's going to be a game. But otherwise, I think it'll be a lot of the pass game for them. They have that little like goofy little screen check down like the Packers and stuff do. Like they think that they've like reinvented the wheel doing that. Like, oh, let's put the tight end out there and have him block. I mean, you're watching that like, all right, they think they're doing something crazy, but they're not. I don't think it's the most diverse passing attack. It's like, let's get some shots, let's run some wheel routes. You know what I mean? Let's like run everybody this way and throw it back. I don't think it's a great drop back passing attack. So I think it's all about James Cook.
Question about kind of the future here. We talked about Carlton the other day, and we can all agree he's been very good. And you saw when he didn't play, the drop off. What do you think? I think we all kind of mutually agreed you got to find a way to bring him back. He's playing excellent this year, and the Lions haven't had a true number one corner in quite some time, probably since Darius Slay. What do you make of the upcoming extension, or at least free agency for him? And do you think he should be extended, given you got other guys you have to pay? What's your kind of take on that whole thing?
Yeah, I'm completely with you guys. I think on this, I'm absolutely paying this guy, and it was like coming into it. I think the assumption was like, all right, he's probably gonna miss like 5 games. Let's just be real. There's some way he's probably gonna miss about 5 games this year. That's just unfortunately how it's been. But we all looked at the man coverage and we're like, that's gonna fit here. But to be honest, what Carlton Davis, my bad, the dog's acting crazy. What Carlton Davis surprised me with zone coverage, man. It's like the versatility that Carlton Davis has actually brought to this team. He fits in everything you ask him to do schematically, and then, of course, he's playing the run. I feel bad for him. He feels like he gets hurt, like, all the time, and he kind of like, ooh, every time he tries to tackle somebody. But, yeah, I mean, I think when you have Carlton Davis, what it does is it makes it so even if he's not cornerback 1, he's contesting everything. So everything's a battle. He's, you know exactly what you're going to get. He's going to get a couple flags. He's going to be crazy handsy, but at the same time, it's like, it's almost like the refs expect that. Like, yeah, he's going to be handsy. We'll just kind of let it go a few times. So I think I'm paying Carlton Davis. I think I'm bringing him back because when he's out there, I know I don't have really a weakness in the secondary, and that's key.
Hey, Dion, I do want to, excuse me, to drink water. The water almost came up. I want to bring up, though, just staying with the defense here. I have been talking about this week. It's interesting. Like, this is the best team, at least in my opinion, that this Lions team's going up against all year, and probably will see all season until you get to the playoffs or the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. And defensively, it's been a great defense, but with all the injuries, we finally get to see them match up against a guy like a elusive quarterback like Josh Allen, and we get to kind of see where they're at and measure this out here defensively. How do you think they're going to like stand up to him and like AG being ready? Obviously, all the injuries, and do you think like the way the defense has played this year, they're going to be able to withstand that going into versus an offense like this?
I think you're 100% right. I think it's one of the toughest matchups just to start there. I think this is a team that in a lot of ways, I mean, they're built like this is a well-rounded offensive, defensive line. They're both really solid at both, and I think they played through their offensive line really well. The Josh Allen thing is just weird because it's like, okay, I could point to when we played Kyler, and I thought we played Kyler really well. I always feel like we played Kyler pretty darn well. And then there was Baker, which was like, okay, he's not Kyler, but Baker, I felt like the game broke open because Baker did some things, and Caleb Williams did some things. But then you see Anthony Richardson, you're like, all right, outside the first drive, we actually contained that pretty well. So it's almost like when you come into the game with like the assumption of that's who that guy is, you handle it pretty well. But then when you see a guy that's like, that's not really who he is, all of a sudden he starts to get loose. So it's almost like, if they come in with the expectation that they understand that this is who Josh Allen is specifically, as soon as it becomes third down, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine in this one. I'm actually more positive about a guy like this that like we're all talking about Josh Allen's going to run versus if you're playing a guy that's like, yeah, he's probably not really a threat there, but he's a little bit athletic and all of a sudden he's scooting just like Jared Goff does because nobody expects Goff to run and then he runs. They're like, what the heck are we doing here? I think we'll be better against Josh Allen because of that reason that there will be an expectation that this guy's going to run as soon as it becomes third down.
Yeah, I mean, that's what kind of hurt the Lions against the Vikings, especially Sam Darnold running for 39 yards. Because Sam Darnold's athletic, be like, what the fuck is Sam Darnold doing running for 40 yards? But I asked Morgan this, and there's a little bit of a internet issue there, so it's kind of hard for him to answer. But I think it's definitely going to be like a critical point. You just brought up on third down. Aaron Glenn, what does he love to do? Run man defense. You look at that wide receiver core. Amari Cooper is one of the best route runners I've ever seen in my lifetime. I think he's one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league right now. What do you think when you have Carlton matched up on Amari Cooper or even Terrion? Do you think that Amari Cooper being a guy that can beat man coverage pretty consistently, do you think he's going to give the Lions a little bit of trouble on Sunday compared to what he's done in the past? I know he had a big game last week against the Rams, but outside of that, he's been quiet. What do you expect out of Amari Cooper this Sunday?
All right, I'm going to sound crazy here, but I think the way that Amari Cooper rolls is you got to get him going like underneath early. I think that's going to be their strat. Like I truly believe that if Carlton Davis is able to go just match up with Amari Cooper and there's not enough movement, because that's another thing. I don't think they constantly put you into, they'll come out with weird alignments where it's like, okay, now they maybe create a little stress, but I don't feel they create a ton of stress just based on like pre-snap. He's the guy moving around. He's going to be on the ball. So if the Lions are just like, yeah, put Carlton on him, I actually really like that matchup for Carlton. I mean, historically, he's done really well against bigger body receivers. And I think if their approach is like, yeah, we're just going to go vertical, it's not like you're dealing with Christian Watson who ran a 4.2 or something. It's like, I don't get that same fear factor from Amari Cooper, honestly. I think he makes a lot of contested grabs, and if you're like, hey, where's the situation that you could put Carlton in, they think he's going to best battle for, like, put him in contested spots. Make it so that he can play with a big body receiver, and it's like these are tight contested situations, and who comes down with it, that's what it's going to come down to. I'll take Carlton in that any day. I think that's where he's at his best, so I actually love that for him. Terrion, on the other hand, okay, now that might be, that'll be a little interesting because he will be a little grabby against that guy, I'm sure. But honestly, I really like our matchup against Amari. I like our matchup against these receivers in general. I just like how we match up with this team.
Yeah, well, give me speaking of the team, give me your score prediction. I'm curious to know. We had Morgan on. He said 38-21, I think it was. So Morgan Cannon from Pride of Detroit. So I'm curious, Dion, what are you thinking? How do you think this game's going to go?
Yeah, I think that this game ultimately is probably going to hit the under. I think both teams are going to try to run the heck out of the football, and then it may get to one of these things where it's like, all right, maybe neither of us can run the football that well. Hopefully we do, but it may just turn into that. So maybe the scoring comes along. I think the biggest thing for me with the score is always about the turnovers. It's like, where does it happen? Green Bay was like, this game, we have this, and all of a sudden it was, we're down by 7. And it was like, all right, now here comes a lot of points. And it wasn't supposed to be that way, but because we turned it over on our own side twice. So I think that's kind of the thing I'm pointing to here is like which side of the ball. I don't think either team will be turning it over on their side of the ball, though, in this game. I think they understand how much possessions matter outside of just being overly aggressive. And I do believe Dan Campbell's going to fake a darn punt in this game. I just think if he's punting the first drive, he's faking that. He doesn't have I mean, I don't know where y'all are. I don't think he's looking at this like there's anything to lose at all. Like, hey, man, this is an AFC team. We're just going out here to let it fly. Like, the Green Bay was different, maybe, but this dude was going for it 5 times against Green Bay. What do you have to lose against Buffalo? Let's put on a show. So I think he's going to go for it early. I think he knows how much playing with a lead matters against this team. He just saw the Rams game. I have the Lions 30-21 as of now in this one.
I love it. Good stuff, man. Hey, appreciate you
Yeah,
as always,
bro,
Dion.
believe
You always fight. You always fighting some adversity with the microphone. You fight, you get back, you claw back up, take off a kneecap.
Some Dan Campbell grit.
You know what?
I love
Some Dan Campbell grit. You guys can check out Dion, of course, at DoseOfDion 2.0. Dion, appreciate you, brother. Keep crushing. We'll talk to you soon.
Man, I appreciate y'all. And you know what? I got to give you guys this for the grit here, okay? You guys got 3 people on this panel, right? And I know how StreamYard do. They make it weird, and it's like a triangle. There's no great way to space out 3 people. So I appreciate y'all for dealing with that because it's a weird spot, but y'all making it happen. So I appreciate it. Chat, y'all should appreciate the little things, man. That's the little things. And they're up here doing that. They don't care, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
Hey, shout out Dion, man.
Dion. It's a couple gritty guys talking ball.
Come on,
there you go. Check them out. Show them some love, man. Big
all right, y'all.
We got Dion's opinion on it. Look at this, man. Coming in, preaching facts. Bailey, look at. I got my box. Hey, we all got our own little box. I like this.
This is my side over here, boys.
Yeah,
we all got our own little box.
Stay over there.
Well, we did kind of talk a little bit about Josh Allen, and by the way, this Thursday night game stinks. I don't know.
It was supposed to be a good one. I thought it was going to be a good one.
No. You can't play both sides. You told me the Rams were a threat.
Yeah, that is fair. No, that is fair. And if the Rams are a threat, that also means Stafford's playing well, Klotz. I see what you're doing here, Klotz. You're trying to play both sides of the boat here. You can't do that. Not on these grounds.
Let me ask you something, Boone.
You can ask me whatever you want.
If you were to face off against them, who scares you, KOC or Sam Darnold? Kevin O'Connell. If I'm playing the Rams, who's scaring me? Matthew Stafford or Sean McVay?
Matthew Stafford in his arm.
Oh,
I mean, what? That's just Klotz. I'll say this.
Matthew Stafford is not scaring us all.
Hold on, Klotz. Jeff, me and you have a lot. I've slappy aside. I'll sometimes put my slappy aside and be like, hey, I'm honest. Klotz, I know you hate the guy. If you want me to be like Klotz is a ball knower, at least be honest. Don't play a character. Don't play a character. I don't want a character.
Matthew stat Padford as he will continue to do tonight. Pat those stats. It'll look like a good performance.
Okay.
You're watching
Let's
it right
move
now.
on.
You're watching it. It's
Let's
like,
move
God,
on.
what
I'm
is this
I'm
guy
out of
doing?
this.
Hey,
I'm out of this.
The Lions got a
Capping out.
Lions got a great quarterback they got to take down this weekend, Josh Allen. I know we talked about it earlier in the week, but as the week goes on, it's like it's racing through my mind what I'm going to see on Sunday and how they're going to actually try and slow this man down. You want my honest opinion? I don't think there is a slow him down. I think, you know what it's going to be this weekend? Score more points than the Bills. That's what I truly believe that. I know people, what? Screw you, whatever. I just don't. I think it'll be that type of game. I think both defenses going to get cooked a little bit, and that's okay. That's not, it is what it is. But that's the feeling I get early is like, how do they slow them down? Like, I think that for me, it's a little disingenuous for me to be like, go shut Allen down. And they don't. It's like, oh, this is like, I know what's going to happen. Josh is going to run around. He's going to have some plays. He's probably going to run one in for a touchdown. The Lions offense just has to score more points. Like they just got to, that's why, like, you see the score predictions here, like Dion 30-21. It's a little closer than Morgan. Morgan said 38-21. I think it's going to be that type of game personally, guys. I don't think there is like maybe you get a turnover, but in terms of like slowing him down, like, are they going to do what they did to Jordan Love last weekend? I don't think so. I think it'll be that type of offensive game for both sides.
I mean, I'll say this too, and I just found this out today. The total, the over, I think it's 54.5 now. It's the highest total of the NFL season. So like Vegas, everyone's expecting this to be a high scoring game. Last week was the second highest total, the Bills Rams, and guess what? It was a 42-40 football game. So right now, like what this offense is doing, Ben Johnson brought it up today, boys. He was like, the good thing, like, or the weird thing about this is we're the number one offense points per game. They're the number two. And Ben, he was honest. He was like, the difference between us and them offensively is we're a little bit more streakier and they're not. Like our 30, 32, 33 points per game, that's because we've had some 50-point games, some 40-point games. But then he also said, hey, the Detroit Lions will have some like clinkers, like some bad games and offensively, and the defense has to bail them out. The difference between that and the Bills offense is the Bills offense have scored, whoa, that water again. They have scored 30-plus points in 7 straight games, boys. 30-plus points in 7 straight games. They are extremely consistent. I think there's only 3 times this year, maybe 4 times this year total, that this offense, the Josh Allen offense, has not even gone over 30. Like, what do you played 13 games, and only 3 of those times you haven't gone over 30? So, like, this is going to be an absolute battle for the defense. That's why I was asking Dion, like, hey, how big of a task is this really for the defense? Because, like, the run game with James Cook, Klotz, you brought that up. I heard you when I was driving in. Like, James Cook is going to, like, yeah, our run game's good, but they're going to try and find ways to put him in open field and let him make plays, because when he's playing well, guess what? Their offense is playing well. And, like, their receivers, guys, Amari Cooper's their wide receiver number 1 right now. And you could say Shakir, but he had like 14 targets last week. Amari Cooper, dude, Cooper is extremely good. They are slowly trying to get this thing figured out. And finally in a dome, like, you would think this week that things it's rolling. And then you have Shakir, Keon Coleman coming back, Matt Collins, Klotz, you know me and Matt Collins, big Matt Collins fan. So they have weapons. Dalton Kincaid's coming back. So I do think it's going to be an interesting test for the Detroit Lions defense. I'm interested. Hey, you're going to find a lot out about this defense here on Sunday at 4:20, boys. 4:25. Sorry. You're going to find a lot of things out about this defense. I don't care if there's injuries or not. You're going to figure a lot of things out. And, Jeff, I said the under earlier this week. I'm switching it because I'm going to take the over in this game because guess what? As much as I want this Detroit Lions defense to step up and prove, hey, they can do it, I don't see the Lions being the team to stop them from scoring 30 in 7 straight games.
Hold on.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, Gibbs. They're going to have to step up and go. They're going to have to put points up on Sunday. It's going to have to happen.
Is it fair to say this is a Super Bowl matchup?
Yes. Yeah. Why are you? Was that a serious question?
No. Stick with me. Stick with me.
Okay.
Is it okay? So it is a Super Bowl matchup.
Thought he was
It's
cooking.
at Ford Field. And we don't think this Lions defense, they're going to struggle a little bit because of injuries. I completely understand. Doesn't that give you a little thought, like in the big game, if they go up against the Bills, that where are we at with like Super Bowl caliber defense? Where are we at?
Here's the thing, and I think we'll see it on Sunday with or without the injuries. And I'm kind of surprised, Boone. Not mad, slightly disappointed because me and you came to agreement on it. But when you look at the Bills and the Lions, I think there's going to be a lot of yards put up, no doubt. But when it comes to in the red zone, converting it to points, I think that's where Vegas is going to be taking people's money. I don't think this is going to be a 13-10 game. But when I look at the game, I'm not going to give out a score prediction. I would not be surprised in the slightest if this game's 20-24 and there's 2 touchdowns scored in the fourth quarter by each team. I think both teams could get around 400 total yards. Like, don't get me wrong, but you look at the Lions, their defense. What are they built on? Even more so with these injuries. Bend, but do not break. If you look at the Buffalo Bills, they got a lot more stars coming back, or I shouldn't say stars. They have their best player coming back with Matt Milano. They got Rasul Douglas potentially out, and a couple other guys. But when you look at this Bills defense too, like it's not great in the red zone, but they're top half of the league red zone defense, and they can get after the quarterback. And with Jared Goff, you make him uncomfortable. He can make a few mistakes. Maybe it might not end in a turnover, but it could result to an incompletion when they want to put up points in the red zone. Now Jake Bates got to kick 3. So I think this will be exactly what you see in the postseason, where this defense, they'll probably giving up some yards, but like it has the last 2 years, and not so much in the NFC Championship game last year. I think it'll be another bend but don't break, and they'll hold them from getting touchdowns and convert it into 3 points. But I think the Bills will also do that to the Lions a couple of times, because Sean McDermott, as much as people want to kind of gripe on him for being a head coach, he's a good defensive mind.
Fair point, Klotz.
Did you see Amik Robertson, his tweet today?
Yeah.
I think he's coming for some vengeance. Maybe not vengeance, but he's going to show out, at least in his mind. That's what he really does believe. I mean, he put this tweet out. Let me show you guys. And this is a quote tweet to Dan Mitchell, who I don't even know who that is, if I'm being honest.
I think it was just like just a reporter, or maybe like a Bills reporter or something.
Amik Robertson saw him. Dan Mitchell, the Bills reporter, fan, whatever, said Khalil Shakir is going to have a day on Sunday. He'll be lining up against Amik Robertson. 52.4 PFF coverage grade. I'm taking the over on everything Khalil Shakir.
I might just take all the unders on Shakir.
And then he just quoted and said, good luck. I love Amik. He's got like that, like, I don't mind this. I actually like this. Like when DBs, like I love when DBs talk, honestly. I think it's great. Like, I mean, not that Amik's starting it, but he'll finish it. Hey. Not that Khalil's talking, but he'll finish it to Dan Mitchell. All right. He'll prove Dan Mitchell wrong. Whoever Dan Mitchell is.
Taking notes.
Yeah, taking notes right now. He's got the Amon-Ra St. Brown thing going on, where he's like writing in like a journal or something like that. Writes Dan Mitchell's name down. Maybe Khalil Shakir's name down. I think that's going to be a great matchup, honestly. Khalil is sneaky good. We won some money on him on the over last week. He's a sneaky receiver, but Amik's got a challenge. And if he can win this Sunday, win most of them or more than he loses, Meek's going to have a huge impact on this game, because Khalil's kind of like Josh's safety blanket. That's what he loves going to him.
Mm-hmm.
So look for the Amik and Khalil.
I'm gonna watch this matchup. I'm gonna take the unders on Khalil. I think just out of pure respect for Amik.
Yeah, Joe, that's fair. Yeah.
Klotz, I'm a Shakir guy.
Nice, because the thing is, when Khalil gets the ball, he catches it like that. Like to Jeff's point, like that's his safety blanket. He's got 78 targets on the year, only 1 drop, and he's, I want to say, 3rd or 4th in the NFL in yards after catch. You saw what he did last week against the Rams.
He's elite.
Yeah.
That's not he's not the touchdown scorer. But you want?
I drafted him in like all my fantasy leagues. I was like, he's about to have a year.
Hey,
you guys remember? And I'm not like trying to pat my own back here. I'm just saying, like, we had the conversation. I brought it up. Like, Khalil Shakir is a guy that could hit 1,000 yards this year. I don't know if he's on track to do that. I have to look at his stats. Let me see. He's got 735. So he could get it. He need another big game. But he's a very capable wide receiver. Like, there seems like Kansas City, if they had Khalil Shakir, they'd be sleeping a lot better at night than they are right now. Like, even with you look at DeAndre Hopkins, like, I think Khalil Shakir. He's not better than DeAndre Hopkins, but he's putting up
a solid
numbers.
Very solid wide receiver in the NFL.
Hey, let's welcome in our next guest here, Scott Bischoff, who does great work. And we have Scott on. Love talking ball with Scott. And we got some football questions. We do got to pick some Scott's brain here. So please welcome in Scott Bischoff. Let's get him in here. Scott, he's waiting right now. Scott, how you doing?
I'm good. I was not told the brain would be picked at. So good luck to you guys.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I do. Scott, I got to ask you because, and there's part of me, I made a video today and I really do believe this. I really do believe Jamal Adams this week with more snaps, another week of practice, getting more comfortable. You might not have Trevor Nowaski. I think Jamal Adams can make some plays this weekend. And I know he played 8 snaps, but I expect that to be doubled, maybe even tripled, whatever the number may be, 20, 30, 40, whatever it is, snaps. I can see Jamal. I mean, he's a hard hitter. He's great against the run. He can get after the quarterback. Am I crazy for expecting some plays this weekend from Jamal, or is it more like chill, Jeff? Jamal, he might just be a casual or a civilian this weekend. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think that with Onwuzurike and Pascal and Reeder, hopefully Reeder, I think he's coming back. But with those guys returning to give your D-line, it's normal, whatever it is, it's normal potency. That's going to free up a player like Adams to run a little bit. There is every opportunity for him to make more plays than he would have made last week when he was, he was probably dealing with a little more blocking, a little more, teams paying attention to what he was doing. But, Buffalo's O-line is good, but they're going to have their hands full with the Lions D-line in the running game kind of stuff. And then when you get to the passing game, the Lions are making it happen. I don't know how they're doing it. It's amazing. But yeah, I think Adams has an opportunity to have him to be freed up in this game to just run. And specific to trying to chase down Josh Allen when he scrambles, that can be a very important part of what happens. Big deal.
Love that.
Hey, Scott, I just want to ask you about a specific player. It's not a big time player. It's a quiet player on this Detroit Lions defense who was hurt for a little bit. And I think the most that we've ever seen this player is probably his college film. But Broderick Martin last year obviously didn't have the greatest. It felt like a developmental year. And then coming into this year, obviously he's on the IR, and then the last few games he's played. Can I just see I just want to know where your thoughts are on the Broderick Martin situation, what he maybe potentially can still be for this Lions team, or if it feels like he's digressed and he's not really doing what we thought he would out of the draft.
So, coming in, he was just a gigantic person. That's the whole planet theory. How many people on the planet are as big as that guy, as strong as that guy, and move the way he does? And there's very few. I would say that there are issues with his confidence right now, and also with his aggression level. He is a huge, massive human being, but he doesn't play that way, right? So when you see him, you're expecting him to just be this menace, this unblockable guy. Whether that means he's getting to the quarterback, he won't, because that's not going to be his job. He's just going to be like a run plugger kind of player, but he doesn't do much of that. And I think some of that stuff is technical. It's pad level. There's a tendency in his game right now to kind of stand straight up, and leverage is king. And some of the players who are blocking him and trying to move him, when he stands up, they're under his pads, and it's making it easier for him to get moved off the ball. So it's a good question. It's obviously you're picking up that there's stuff going on with him, and it's good for you to see that. I do think that there's technical things. Maybe it could be stance related. There's a lot of things that could be going on, but he's definitely playing a more passive game than one would expect, for such a huge guy. That's kind of what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah.
And kind of same question, just with a different player, a player that definitely had a lot of controversy and noise, especially coming into the season, Jameson Williams. Scott, we all were expecting Jameson Williams to take a jump, and outside of the volume that he's seen in his targets, What do you think has allowed Jamison Williams to really develop? Is it route running, hands? Because I think hands have been more consistent than some people think. Up to this point, 4 games left in the season. What do you think has been JMO's secret to success so far this year?
100% his route running, and Jared Goff would tell you that too. Goff is not a player who's going to put the ball. He doesn't have much of a desire to put the ball into a dangerous place. And there's a little bit of danger when you don't know exactly what the kind of routes that a receiver is going to run. If it's a, every receiver's got to get the landmarks. And if you're not trustworthy to get to your landmarks, or if you're even what you would say maybe a little sloppy getting there, throws the timing off of everything. And Goff is just he's not going to throw there. So the fact that the season started with him trying to throw, trying to get JMO involved, and it's continued, tells you that he's working on his route running. He's become much more reliable in that phase of the game. And there's comfort between him and Goff. And that's a huge deal because it opens up everything. We've seen these deep crossing routes where he'll catch, a pass that gets thrown 15 yards downfield, but in the end, it's going to be a 70-yard touchdown because nobody can run with him. So, to me, that's it. It's his route running, the work that he put in to be more refined and technical and disciplined as a route runner, and it's showing. He's been a really good player for them.
Yeah, another thing we discuss a lot, Scott, is kind of the matchup here. Josh Allen, his legs, this line's defense, and I think the overs in consideration here. I think both offenses are going to kind of have their way. Yeah. What do you make, and just maybe specific things that stand out to you early about some matchup problems you think the Bills' offense can pose for this line's defense?
Well, their offensive line's aggressive. They want to move. They want to move you. I don't think that they're going to have tons of success running the ball. Ray Davis is a different kind of a runner than James Cook, so he might present some challenges because he's hard to get to the ground. So, I mean, the running game is what it is, and I would hope that the Lions would be able to kind of stuff that and force the Bills into third and medium or third and long pretty regular in this game and make it. I mean, if it's 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, Josh Allen's just going to catch the shotgun snap, and if he doesn't like exactly what he sees immediately, he's just going to run for a first down. And there's really nothing you can do to stop that. But if it's 3rd and 9, it's a bit of a different story, or 3rd and 8, whatever you want to call it. I do think you guys nailed it earlier. There's a huge advantage in their offense with Khalil Shakir. He's an incredible route runner over short areas, and he's open all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'd worry too much about like Amari Cooper getting locked up by Terrion Arnold or Carlton Davis. And Dalton Kincaid's a good receiver as a tight end, but the Lions have been able to minimize that too. So the advantages are, to me, I hope I'm answering the question.
Yep.
The advantages are Allen running and generating, first downs that way. And then maybe a little bit of the short passing game with Shakir. I don't know if they're going to give Robertson a little bit of help there. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but that's where the advantages are. I'm sure that the Bills are going to want to try to establish the run. I don't know that they're going to be able to do that. And then it'll be, all right, we got to rely upon, Allen's legs. He's going to have to get some first downs for us. And we're going to have to push the ball down the field a little bit. And I think the Lions have some advantages there. But this is, again, tough matchup. It's a slugfest. It's a good time for the Lions to face this type of team. It's always good to challenge this. It's good for teams to sort of challenge themselves and see where they are when it comes to, playing with the big boys. And this is one of them.
I want to bring that up, just Scott, because just kind of going off the defensive side of the ball there. AG, I don't know if you've seen these press conferences he's been having and the rumors with him getting the head coaching job. What are your thoughts just as a whole with Aaron Glenn this year? How he's created this defense with all these injuries throughout the last 13 games, and essentially they're a top 5 defense even with all of these different injuries in and out. What are your thoughts on AG's job?
I would like him to come on over to my house and fix some of the shit we got going on here. I don't know how he's doing it, but it's almost magical. Like they have so many players and important players on IR or in and out. Like last week, it was McNeil going out with I think was the jaw problem. I'm not positive about that, but I think that's what that was. I will say that for the first couple of years here, I don't think he had the right kind of personnel to run the back end coverages that he wanted to run based on what his preferences were. They tried at times and failed. And then like even at the end of last year, they just settled on, all right, Cam Sutton, you're going to get beat for like 170 yards and a touchdown this week. And we're good with it. Right. The addition of Carlton Davis and Amick Robertson and drafting Terrion Arnold and letting him play. Terrion Arnold has played the most man coverage snaps in the NFL as a rookie this year. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It really is. So, trusting him to do those kind of things and then having Branch and Kirby Joseph as your safeties really gives, a coordinator lots of flexibility to run the system that he's wanted to run all along. So my feelings and my thoughts is that we're starting to see glimpses of the kind of defense that he really wanted to run the entire time he's been here. He just hasn't had the personnel to do it. Phenomenal job, though. What else? There are no other words. It's incredible what they're doing.
And flipping to the other side of the ball now, Scott, now more so with Ben Johnson. Not so much what Ben has been doing, but what were your takeaways when you see the absence of Taylor Decker? Do you think that they kind of performed better than you expected, worse than you expected? What were they doing schematically that kind of shocked you? What were your takeaways from that absence of Taylor Decker being out?
So the first week Decker was out, the takeaway was this is not going to go well. Skipper did not play well. Mm-hmm. It was obvious that Stafford was rattled and was sort of it's like a mind game. Like if he was expecting pressure, he was playing like there was going to be pressure, whether it was there or not. And it's blind side. So I'm sure there's a level of discomfort there, but Skipper's played better over the last couple of games. And, I do think that it's limited their ability to stretch the field with the passing game, but it certainly hasn't hurt them, up until this point, it had a little bit, but you threw up 30 plus on Green Bay. That was a good offensive performance. They didn't stall out too much in the red zone. They did some good things. So, I would still say this, that I think Skipper presents a problem in that Goff doesn't fully trust that he's protected on his blind side. So there's a little bit of let's get rid of the ball quicker. I'm not saying it's panicky or any of that kind of stuff, but it's definitely the offense is a little more limited with Skipper playing left tackle, even though he did play really well last week. It's just it's a touch more limited and maybe a little more short throwing, which I think is really good for Detroit. They're not gonna bust off these 20 and 30 yard gains, but they might go for 10 or 12, and they're gonna move the chains, and they're gonna be just fine.
Yeah. Well, in your kind of feeling now, early, what do you think in terms of the outcome here? Score prediction. What do you think? Lions, Bills, high scoring. Where are you at? Where are you at, Scout? Your confidence?
I think it'll be high scoring. I don't know if you guys watched the Rams take apart the Bills defense last week.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think the Bills defense is really set up to defend some of the things that the Lions like to do. I could see all of their like Ed Oliver and the other defensive tackles and I could see some of these guys getting stuck inside and not being able to chase the ball. So there's a scenario there where you run a little bit off tackle and all the interior D-line guys are just kind of stuck in the middle there. And then it's, you're into the second level, and we've seen it in the past, what both of these running backs can do in space. So I would expect the Lions to be able to run the ball pretty effectively against Buffalo. I just don't think that they're built to stop the run all that effectively. And then DeMar Hamlin, Taylor Rapp, and Rasul Douglas are all none of those guys have practiced so far. And I know Buffalo's had a weird practice week because they had snow and they didn't think they had like a Zoom walkthrough kind of a deal. today. But those guys haven't practiced yet. And if they're out, huge advantage, Detroit. So, the Lions have kind of put this thing together, and they can do so many things on offense, and they can hurt teams so many ways, a variety of ways running the ball. And whether it's short to intermediate to deep throwing, all that throwing over the middle of the field is really tough to defend. I think the Lions on offense can do just about whatever they want to do. And it's just a matter of can they kind of pull the reins back on Josh Allen and just kind of keep him under control. That's going to be the thing. A week ago, I would have told you I would have penciled this. I would have put this in pencil as a loss. And after the way that game played out last Thursday, and then having, the 10 days off before playing again, and knowing that I think you're getting Reeder back, I think McNeil plays, you're getting Onwuzurike back, you're getting Pascal back. I think I was thinking about this as maybe a game that I would think they would lose, but I don't feel like that anymore. And maybe I don't. And maybe that has to do with the fourth down conversion and the way that whole thing went. Some teams would lay an egg this week after the emotional high of what they went through last Thursday, but this team is not built like that at all. If anything, I think it's, put the gas pedal down quicker, harder, whatever, and keep it there, play harder. Campbell's got so much buy-in from those guys because he's taking their suggestions. He's putting important decisions upon them too. Like, hey, do you guys want to go for it? It's not just about me. We're all making this choice together kind of thing. And the culture there and the buy-in he's got in that dressing room, it's incredible. So yeah, I mean, a week ago, I did think that this was probably going to be a loss, but I've come full circle on that. And I kind of expect them to win, not going away or anything, but I kind of expect them to put to offensively kind of beat up on Buffalo pretty good.
Love that.
I want to actually, because someone just put in the chat, and actually I love your opinion. Coach just said, when's Mosley coming back? He's not on the injury report. What? Because we've had this back and forth, like we've discussed. What do you think about Emmanuel Mosley returning, and what kind of impact do you think he makes? I'm curious.
Well, it's been so long since he played, and then he played, one snap last year and tore his ACL. I would imagine that he is penciled. I would think that they have him penciled to be an outside corner, but he could be, an extra defensive back in certain scenarios, if you go dime kind of thing.
Yeah.
He could also play slot corner and give you a different look than Amick can. But it's been kind of odd that he's been ready to go and hasn't played, so I'm not sure exactly. Maybe they're just trying to kind of slowly get him in. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't have an answer.
No, all good. Appreciate you as always. Hey, appreciate you as always, Scott, joining the fellas, taking time.
Let's go, Scott.
Yeah, it's always good talking to Scott, man.
It's fun joining you guys. It's a cool thing you guys are doing.
Hell yeah!
I appreciate it.
Hell yeah!
Appreciate it.
Check him out next. Bischoff_Scott doing some great work. Scott, we'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Scott.
Scott
Appreciate you,
Bischoff.
Scott.
Yeah, you know what, dude? He's actually Scott's
Legend.
been joining the fellas for a while. He's an OG.
Yeah.
This is draft Scott. He was on like week 3 with the fellas.
I wanted to ask him before he left, but we think if he had to pick a quarterback, Cam Ward or Shadur. But it didn't.
Why did you not say anything?
We'll get him back on. We'll get him back on. A lot of time.
Oh, Klotz, that's a miss on your end, man.
And what if he just looked at
if we're talking about drafting, dude, you just drafted
What if he just stared right at you and said, "Give me Carson back"? What if he just said, "What do you do at that?"
I don't think Carson Beck's coming out, dude. I think
he shouldn't. Yeah, Carson Beck should stay. That dude.
I said it like week 2. I was like, this man.
He'll never sniff a starting position in the NFL. Carson Beck.
I'll tell you, he ain't no Stetson Bennett. I'll tell you that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no,
he's not. Stetson Bennett won national championship.
Yeah,
Carson
man,
Beck is
Stetson
not like
Bennett,
he just lost games.
Stetson Bennett was he's 5'9", 5'10", like he's a small guy, and he genuinely looked better at Georgia.
Yeah,
way better.
He's
By
like
the way,
30
first half possessions for the Rams: punt, 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 punt. 5 straight punts. That's crazy.
We need a Kittle touchdown.
McVay.
By the
He's
way,
got
it's pouring
Cooper
rain.
Kupp,
Had
he's
no
got
clue.
Puka Nacua. He's got Kyron Williams, but you know what? He doesn't have a fucking first down. Matthew Stafford.
Oh, I do have
boys.
real quick.
Well,
Boone,
they have a first down, Klotzy. They've gotten a first
One?
down.
2?
I don't know how many, but they've
I think it
gotten.
might be.
That was a bad statement, Klotzy. That was just a false statement.
It doesn't help
do your
our
homework.
argument.
No,
I think it's only
my narrative still fits.
Hey, Boone,
Do your homework before.
We do need Kittle to score.
We do. I put a lot.
Hey,
you
this
know
is
what?
big, Boone. This is big. Mike said Debo. You said Kittle. I said I'm rocking with Boone.
Hey, Kittle right now though. Like, listen. Let me check the stats right now. What is Debo? 2 carries, 3 yards, 2 catches, 10 yards. George Kittle, 2 catches, 43 yards.
Oh, you put in a lay with Kyron in it.
ETN said Kyron Williams first touchdown scorer, so I did it.
There's a chance right now. They're marching
down
the
field. That's what I'm saying.
field.
We're through the first half and nobody scored a touchdown. I wonder what the odds are for just any touchdown in this game. Probably nuts.
Wow,
I said it before the show too, Boone, and even a little bit on at halftime, especially this low-scoring game. Michigan man Blake Corum, his odds are probably very high, and they were using him last 2 weeks in the red zone a lot.
They were
plus 600. I was like,
they
probably
definitely
be
were.
like plus 1,000.
It's pouring rain there. I had no clue. I put too
either.
much money on this game for this much rain to be going on.
I didn't either.
I don't know why I didn't see this. I need to start checking the weather. I need to be more locked.
Rams have a measly 4 first downs too, by the way, Boone.
4? You said none. You said none.
You know, yeah, I did.
All right, you're wrong.
My narrative still is alive.
Look, Trey said it in the chat. Klotz spreading misinformation.
All right, let's get to AG. We got his presser. Him talking about stopping. I got him talking about the matchup with the Bills offense, and I also have a clip of him talking about Terrion Arnold. So we'll talk about both those things. And we have a Dan Orlovsky tweet that Jeremy Reisman quote tweeted, and Dan Orlovsky responded to Jeremy Reisman.
It's a video. I don't know if we can play the video because it was on ESPN.
I don't think so.
But it was an intro. I could help break it down a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what the people. I'm sure a lot of people saw it. I'm interested to see what the people think.
Well, here's AG on facing the Bills, what they're kind of walking into here.
The last time because I smiled, so I want to make sure she see this. All right, I want to put that out there. But man, for all the I guess the memes or whatnot that people been sending me about that, and I had no idea. I really didn't. Man, I was just locked in trying to call the best game I can, knowing that was a quote.
Okay,
Jeff, you're in November.
Hey, yeah, this is the wrong one. Okay, damn it, dude. Dude. By the way, just don't watch this show. I mean, this show fucking.
I mean, I could have put the link in there, so that's on me in the prep. But I did not really think that was that would happen. I was like, what is
I trusted a teammate. I trusted a teammate.
I gave you the right timestamp. You just went to the wrong. How did you even get to a November? How did you get to a November 7th video? How is that even possible?
I just clicked on. Oh, okay, that's on me. Let's play this. This is the right one. Jesus, man, don't watch this show, man.
I trusted a teammate on that one, man.
All right, here you go.
So what's the challenge that you have?
I can't say that the offense has changed. What I can say, if they add another weapon, which always makes it hard, and a quality weapon at that. And when you talk about Shakir, I mean, he's a damn good slot receiver. He gets in and out of his cuts real well. Listen, he's faster than what people give him credit for. And you saw it in the Rams game when he ran away from everybody. And I think it was only just a short 5-yard pass and be able to do that. So, listen, our DBs got their hands full. We know that. I mean, Amari's been a Pro Bowler. High-paid receiver in this league for a long time. And for him to be able to get with this offense, with this quarterback, with this O-line and the other skilled players they got, it allows him to be in more one-on-one situations. So the thing is we got to do a really good job of make sure we stay on the top shoulder of him because he still has that fade ball that he can go out there and be able to catch.
Mm-hmm. There you go, AG. I also have a clip of him talking about Terrion Arnold, which I want to play too because Terrion Arnold – Dan said he had a great last week, and he's been getting slowly better and better and better. So AG talked about Terrion Arnold in the presser, and here's the clip of him speaking about the rookie corner. Let's take a listen.
Listen, he's always been sticky in coverage. It's the growth of him from how he started to where he is now. And I know that everybody was on him about these PIs, which still kills me. But listen, that player is going to be a damn good player for us. Ice water in his veins, understands how we play, wants to challenge people in man coverage and really understands a lot better how to play zone coverage. So as he continues to progress in this league, he's just going to get better and better and better. And listen, we're putting a lot of like pressure on this player by the way that we play, but there's no other way that he will want it. So I'm glad we got him for the simple fact that he's going to be one of the top corners of the league as his years progress.
Yeah, he ain't lying about putting pressure on Terrion Arnold. You guys see, I just saw ML Football put it out. I'm pretty sure that's the right source. He's played the most man-to-man snaps out of all rookie corners. So he's literally being thrown into the fire. Like it is straight man-to-man. He's not dropped. And he's was previously a safety converted to a corner, made plays in both zone and man. But the Lions they're I mean, the system he's in, it's strictly man-to-man. I mean, yeah, he's got to man up. And he's took the challenge on. He's getting better. The PI calls, I guess, would be like the one thing you would point out and be like, it could get you in a big game, but he's getting better. And PI calls aren't the end of the day because it's kind of just a simple, like, and I shouldn't say simple, but it's a mental fix. You know, it's not like the guy physically can't guard anybody. It's not like watching Jeff Iafrate and you're like, this guy stinks. You know, like he just can't guard anybody. Terrion can. He's in the right position. But he just doesn't turn his head around. It was like simple stuff that's teachable stuff. So yeah, I'm excited. You guys I want you guys' thoughts on Terrion, but when we'll get to the weapons, but just kind of the AG hyping up Terrion Arnold thinks he'll be great.
Klotz?
Yeah, I think Terrion, he's interesting. I think no doubt Terrion's going to be a very good player, but I didn't expect the struggles that Terrion's going through as far as the pass interferences and kind of just the holding, just the penalties in general. I didn't expect them to kind of linger as much as they have been late into this season. But at the end of the day, dude's a rookie corner. Like you said, Jeff, he played safety at one point. Now he's switching positions. I think that's almost going to benefit him more down the line because once he starts getting the groove playing the cornerback position, he's okay. I got my rhythm. Now I can really sit back and start making plays like he was when he was at safety. The hopeful part of it, not hopeful is the wrong word, but the positive thing about what we've seen from Terrion is what you just said. I can't recall outside maybe of Tampa Bay when they ran Chris Godwin on that wheel route. And what was that in? That was in zone coverage. Terrion Arnold has not gotten burnt. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Christian Watson burnt Carlton Davis. And that was like, what the hell is going on here? We've seen Kendall Vildor get burnt against guys like Ashton Doolin and Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. But when you look at Terrion Arnold, I'd say in coverage-wise, like AG just kind of alluded to, he's sticky. Like he's in the right spot. It just comes down to staying in phase, finding the ball, making a play on the ball. Once he gets that just absolutely correlated down and kind of just into a rhythm, this guy, I don't know about all pro because it's still a long time to see, but he's definitely going to be a guy that'll be a top half of the league corner. He'll be a top 10 corner. He's got that potential. He's got top 5 potential with the way that he tackles. But I think year 2, you got Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph behind him. You bring back Carlton Davis. You keep adding in the secondary. You have Aiden Hutchinson coming off injury. Was Zadarius Smith coming back? Ali McNeil, you just re-signed him. DJ Reader, Jack Campbell. Terrion Arnold's a very good player, but he's in even a better situation. So I do not see a way outside of injury that he turns into a Jeff Iafrate or a bust. Terrion Arnold will go down to be a very good draft pick for the Detroit Lions. And you got him, 24th overall? You don't find cornerbacks like that in the NFL draft. I understand that there was 14 straight offensive players, but that's kind of what I'm saying as far as in the draft. Like, you're not going to find a guy of that caliber in the secondary that often, that part in the draft. So I think the Lions, they made the right pick, and long-term is definitely going to reap the benefits of it for the team.
I think too, Klotz, it's just been it's basically just a matter of time until Terrion kind of gets the flow and get the feel for the NFL game. I think it was pretty obvious when he got drafted, and then his first couple of weeks, I feel like we were all pretty consistent on it. Like, hey, we need to give him some time. Like, it's tough at the corner position. It's the toughest or the second toughest position in the NFL to play. So like you have to give a guy like that time. And if he has a skill set, I have heard so many different things about Terrion throughout the NFL. Like you hear AG saying, hey, he's going to be one of the best players at his position at some point in his career in this league. I watched I don't know if you guys have watched the guy's stuff, but John Gruden, he's been doing some videos and he was breaking down the Lions-Bills game. And when he came across Terrion, this kid's going to be so good. This kid's nice, one of the best young guys in his position. Like, he loves him. Like, a lot of people in the NFL, like, he is very, very highly looked at. So I think Terrion's going to be fine. I think he's starting to finally get into a little bit of a rhythm. Like he's getting a feel for the game, the PI penalties that came early, and then now they're starting to go away a little bit. And you're starting to see like he's getting a feel for it. Klotz, you said like the man doesn't miss tackles either. Like he does not miss tackles. I think that was one of the big things of him. And Ennis Rakestraw coming out of college. We were like the two good things about these guys is they're violent and they don't miss tackles. And I think that's big for Terrion. I'm excited to see what he does this week. And like in the playoffs, that's going to be huge. Like typically rookies, I mean, you do obviously every team has their rookies, but like getting the experience he's about to get going through a playoff run and a potentially Super Bowl run right off the bat in his rookie year, that's going to be like, that's worth so much more than any other rookie's going to be getting in the NFL, especially at his position.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I think about in the playoffs is like what Terrion Arnold is. Are you going to see that surge like in the right direction? Not that he isn't, but like how much of a step will he take come the postseason? Like honestly, I'm curious. His whole defense, obviously, I'm curious. But for Terrion Arnold being a rookie and being your number 2 corner in the playoffs, like he's going to be an emphasis. And if he can be very good out there, or at least just solid good, he's going to help you a lot. And, you know, Dan Orlovsky went on television and spoke about what he believes he would do if he was the offensive coordinator. I watched the clip, and I'll give you the context because I watched it, Boone, earlier a little bit ago. So I can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I'm going to try and explain what he said. You tell me if I'm saying this wrong. So basically, Dan Orlovsky was asked the question facing this Lions defense, if like what's something you could do to possibly expose him if you were the OC and Dan Orlovsky being the OC. He said, I would take 3 shots a quarter on them, 3 shots. And he said, if you're going to play press man coverage out there, I'm going to take 3 shots a quarter. And his other point was they don't have 5 Patrick Surtains. They don't have 5 Darrelle Revises out there. And you're pressing me, I'm going to take shots downfield. So here's Jeremy. Was that off, Booner? What was that?
No, I mean, it was spot on. It was basically, hey, what's one thing that will halt the Detroit Lions of making a Super Bowl run or winning a Super Bowl? So he had to answer the question somehow. There was a lot of hate, a lot of people going at him, you know, in the city of Detroit about him saying what he did. The question was simple. Hey, if there was one thing that would halt the Lions from winning, what would it be? And he brought that up. You have to take like 3 shots a quarter, which in my mind, I could be wrong, fellas. If that's the thing that's going to stop you, like, okay. Like, I don't think it was a bad thing that Dan said. Like, I think even Dan is like, I got to find something. Like, they stopped the run. Like, they're great in the red zone. They're great on third downs. They have obviously when they're healthy, their linebackers are unbelievable. They have a great safety duo. I think for Dan, like, his point is just like, all right, yeah, if you're going to slow them down, what are you going to do? You're going to have to just throw 3 deep balls and hope that one of them breaks off every quarter. Like, that's it. Like, I felt like it was the way I watched it and the way I took it. A lot of people around the city took it disrespectful. I took it in a way it was like, that's kind of it's almost a compliment because it's like you have to take 3 deep shots a quarter to be able, like, that's how I took it. And then Jeremy, obviously, he did comment back in Jeremy, and he was like, because we could show it.
Yeah. So Jeremy responded. He said the Lions to this clip, and he responded with just some stats. Lions have faced the 4th most deep shots, 20+ air yards in the NFL. In those situations, Detroit defense ranks 7th in yards per play allowed, 9.2, 3rd in EPA pass, minus 0.22, 1st in average separation, 1.4 yards, 4th in quarterback pressure, 50.9%. That was his response. And then which you put stats for NFL Pro. And then Dan Orlovsky responded and said, correct, they're good at it. Did anyone say they weren't? You're as an offense still going to take your shots, and the segment is predicated on how. And then Jeremy just said, just providing context to your clip. That's all. So that was really it. I don't think Dan responded any further than that, but he was like coming to Jeremy and a little back and forth on Twitter. Jeremy kind of putting some context with the stats for the Lions defense against big plays, 20 or shots down the field. I'll say this with Dan, and to your point, but I'm actually with you. I don't think that's him saying, like, if you were an offensive coordinator, how would you kind of approach this? What are you going to say? Run all over him? I mean, like, no, he's not going to say that. So I guess the other answer would be, well, you're going to attack their secondary, which, like, to his credit, I think they have a pretty good secondary, decent secondary, especially with the safeties. Decent's probably being a little disrespectful. I'll say good. They have a good secondary. But like that would be the way. I mean, if you're looking at how to kind of take advantage of this Lions defense, it ain't going to be running the football. So that's why when we have this discussion about the Lions defense and we bring up, well, stats are going to be inflated because you're forcing teams to be one-dimensional. I mean, that's the way to beat the Lions defense. You got to be able to throw the ball. That's why we talk about elite quarterback matchups, guys that can throw the ball consistently. That's why Jalen Hurts and the Eagles don't really put as much fear in my eyes as other people on national television would say. So I don't think Dan's like Dan answered the question, and I don't think I don't know. I see Michael in here. It was not a compliment. He had hated on our secondary multiple times.
Have you watched it? It does not. I mean, I haven't heard Dan say it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't watch a ton of Dan. I don't know that, but I know the clip. I don't think it was the worst.
Watching that clip, it felt like it was more so like he was like, I have to get something out there. Like I have to answer this question. And I mean, even then, if they're playing press the whole time, like this Lions team gives up yards at the end of the day, like they do. And if you really, whether it's deep or not, all right, that's probably the one weakness on the Lions defense is how many yards they give up. So like I get Jeremy's point too, like respect for him really going and finding the stats and throwing that out there. But again, it's like, okay, like if you had to answer the question, and this is where I like tell people in the chat or like Klotz or Jeff, like if I ask you a question and Jeff, you've done it to me before, it's like I expect an answer. You can't just go around it and just be a slappy and be like, oh, it won't happen. There's a lot of people in this city who go on air and you'll ask them a question and they'll just be like, oh, it won't happen because the Lions are the best in the world. They'll never like, no, like if it was to happen, if they were to lose and it was because of your defense, where's the leak in your defense? Because I could go to AG right now and I could call AG up right now and say, hey, is there a weakness right now in your defense? Is there something you need to get better at? Is there something you've been working on the last 2 or 3 weeks? And he would probably be like, yeah, there is. And then he probably has a list of 20 different things where he's like, this is what we need to get better at. And I think that was just where Dan, like, obviously, maybe Dan didn't go in depth and look at the stats, and he should have. But if that it felt like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, in my mind, it's, hey, a team like this with the secondary that gives up that many passing yards, let's just keep taking chances. Like, let's just take chances on this team and hope that a couple hit. You get 2 or 3 that hit deep down there, and it set you up for a touchdown or a field goal to even have a chance to beat this football team.
I mean, guys, Dan's spot on. There's nothing else you would say. I mean, if you watch this Detroit Lions team, let's go back last week. We talked about that Christian Watson bomb. The week before that, do we remember what happened when DJ Moore and Brian Branch were manned up on each other? 30-yard shot to DJ Moore for a touchdown. Week before that, Alec Pierce. The week before that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They weren't doing anything. Houston Texans, John Mechie. Kind of a shit show in the Packers game, but what did they do at the end of the half to convert into points or almost convert into points? Hail Mary to Jaden Reed. They somehow converted it. If you go back through every game throughout the season, the Detroit Lions have given up big plays, and that's what keeps that other offense in striking distance. So there's no other one. To Booner's point, you got to say something. You just can't be like, well, this defense, it's just well-rounded. Even though it has 13 guys on IR, it's just fine. You can't attack them. They're an offensive team. Like, no. Dan Orlovsky is completely correct here. If you go back and you look at the stat where the Detroit Lions have the most pass interference calls among any team in the NFL against them, what are you going to do? Run the ball? No, like that's what you want to do. But in reality, you add the context here. The Detroit Lions, they're putting up points. You're not going to run the ball when you're down points. So what do? You take shots to give yourself opportunity. Is it a compliment? Absolutely, because you're respecting the Detroit Lions offense. And at the same time, I don't think you're bashing the Detroit Lions defense either because it's the game script. But then when you go and you look at the context about how this team defensively has given up those big plays, it hasn't been on the ground. Every once in a while it has been. You see those Aaron Jones runs when they were in Minnesota, and you saw that Josh Jacobs had a good run last week. But over the course of the season, it has been big plays on the perimeter. So I don't know why people threw an outrage over this. Like, I thought, like, this is a pretty obvious answer. Like, that's what you would do. That's why I'm not saying I'm scared, but when you look at, like, Amari Cooper, Josh Allen, that connection definitely puts a little fear in my heart just because of the players that they are. And that's where the Lions have been giving up plays. You're not going to throw it over the middle where Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are lurking. You're not. And then underneath, that's fine. But if you want to dink and dunk the Detroit Lions defense all the way down the field, that's fine. Because when you come out with 3, it's going to screw you because you're not scoring in the red zone. And the Lions offense is putting up 7. So teams are having to score quick. you're going to throw the ball down the field. So Dan Orlovsky is spot on here. I don't know why there was an outrage about it. I know you guys weren't saying it, but people on Twitter, the Twitter world, as me and Boone would call it, were definitely acting like it was a shot thrown, but I just think it's completely fact. So I have no issue with the comment Dan made.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's like to even go at Dan, like, Dan, it wasn't. It's nothing. There's nothing.
I mean, yeah, it's what on this defense are you gonna attack? Like, if they're pressing, all right, like that's probably the best chance. If they that's the best chance. If you're gonna break anything down, like where else are you going to attack on this defense? Are you gonna run the ball up the middle versus Salim McNeil and DJ Reader? Like, no. Are you going to have your tight end go out there versus Jack Campbell? No. Are you going to try and short routes with Brian Branch and Terrion and as well as Carl? Like, no, you're not going to like. You're probably not going to like the deep routes. Obviously, you don't want to throw the ball to Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. But if you're pressing and there's an opportunity where you can get one of those safeties to leak over, boom, that's it. But again, it's like you have such a good defense. Obviously, like I don't think Dan was attacking the Detroit Lions. I think everyone knows how good this Detroit Lions defense has been and how good they are and how good they can be when they get healthy and they keep getting guys back and what AG has done for them. That they've been able to put together one of the top 5 defense in the NFL. So when you're looking at a top 5 defense in the NFL and if you had to pick something, you have to find something. And if that's it, okay, guess what? If that's your biggest weakness, fellas, and you have 2 safeties in the back with Kirby and Brian Branch, okay, I love that. That means that's like whoever in the chat said it wasn't a comp. I take that more as a compliment because it's like, hey, Dan, where else are you going to like, if that's it, okay, that's good for us.
Yeah, you're going to give Kirby. You're going to give Kirby opportunities to get a pick. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I don't think it was anything negative that Dan was saying. He asked a question, kind of went at it, which I think was fine. Like I think it was a great, it was a good question. I would be interested to know what you guys thought, and I'm guessing you guys think the same thing. It's like if you had to pick anywhere on this defense that has a hole in it, come playoff time, like if they lost in the Super Bowl because of the defense, like where would it have come from? And maybe it's one of those those big body receivers.
And again, I can't speak to. I really don't watch ESPN, so I don't. I watch like I watch some podcasts, some guys that I like to watch, but I can't speak on what ESPN's been saying. I know people, Trey and Michael, kind of talk about how they've been kind of wishy-washy on the Lions. I don't deny that. I think
I have no clue, to be honest.
I would not deny that, honestly. I think that's probably what happens all the time. And it's not just them. There's other networks that do that. So, but with this specific clip, and I watched it, Michael, I work from home, so I watch a shit ton of ESPN. So Michael would know better than anybody, better than us, for sure, about what they're saying. I don't know. But based on that clip, I don't think it's too big of a deal. Now, I want to transition there because we got Klotz's watch list, but before that, I want to show you guys what we've been working on, and not us, Roman, who's the
Roman,
GOAT, but what we've been trying to work on as a team. Roman's part of the team. He's the fucking GOAT.
Come on now.
And he cooked up something that I think is beautiful. Okay, and it is on the store. It is on the store. You guys can get your hoodies, your t-shirts. The Northern Savages.
My God.
That is insane. It's available.
Zoom in on that, Jeff. Zoom in on that a little bit more.
I got you. Hold on. Let me get it.
Yeah.
The Northern Savages.
Woo.
Look at just
beautiful piece of merch right there.
Great piece of merch. It's in hoodies. It's in t-shirts. You can get it on the store now. So that is available. Wanted to tell the people when we come out with new designs, kind of show you guys what we're cooking. So, or what Roman's cooking. And he did a great job with that. So shout out to Roman for that. VisualCTSports.com. You can get all your merchandise. If you're listening, you got to go watch on YouTube because we just showed it, or you can just go to the website and check it out. But let's get to the highly anticipated segment. Ball knowers across the nation.
Scott was preaching to it earlier. Scott, he was.
I know when he said, "Yeah." You'll see it. You'll see it when you see the list. Here we go.
It was the one Jeff was clowning earlier too.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy this.
All right, come on now, fellas.
Watch list: Lions, Buffalo Bills. Klotzy,
come on. All right. Come on. Starting it off, there's going to be some guys that you've probably heard of before because of Buffalo Bills, big teams, but these are definitely not the stars. You could bring up the AJ Espinesas, the Ed Olivers, the Gregory Rousseaus, the Matt Milanos. You get the point. Buffalo Bills are a good team, but they definitely have some very good players that are second and third string guys. First one, second string guy, Terrell Bernard. But up until this point, up until about 2 weeks ago, he was a linebacker one in Buffalo, and he's a third-year player. But what makes him so good, and if you're going to go look at the stats, he doesn't have terrible stats. He doesn't have great stats. But that man can just fly around the field. In coverage, he's great. He's an undersized linebacker. But when he stepped in from Matt Milano and he was out, green dot, made tons of tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and he flies sideline to sideline. I think where he's going to be huge this week, you look at Sam Laporta. I think that Terrell Bernard is basically like a prototype of guys that you would want to be able to put on the field and not have to change your rotation package and be like, hey, cover Sam Laporta for a little bit. He's a gritty guy. I think this is a guy that would be a Detroit Lions type of player, but he's just somebody that whenever I turn on the Buffalo Bills, I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? And it's just been so consistent now that he's going to be a playmaker. I think he's going to have multiple tackles. I'd have to look at his stats recently, but he's been on a tear. It's going to dip a little bit, obviously, because Matt Milano's coming back, but he's very good in coverage. He's very good at stopping the run. A very, very solid player. Another one who I wouldn't even say is solid, Christian Benford, guys. He's the cornerback 2 right now, and I think when you look at the outside with Rasul Douglas being out, he's going to be the cornerback 1 this week. He's playing at an all-pro level type of season right now. When you look at what he has done, who he's gone up against, he's playing against the Jets, the Dolphins. The Patriots obviously don't have anybody, but the Bills have had a tough schedule. What Christian Benford has been able to do is pretty remarkable. And I know I'm not the biggest PFF guy, but at a PFF grade, and I just use this for a little retrospect, trying to compare him to other players, he's the 4th graded corner in the NFL right now. And when you have Jamison Williams, when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's only 24 years old out of Villa fucking Nova. He was a very low draft pick coming out of the draft. He is going to be a guy that I think if the Buffalo Bills can create some problems, it's going to be on Teron Johnson, who's an all-pro caliber player, but Christian Benford's another guy that not many people have heard of, but he has been having a season. I think he can give this offense for Detroit some problems. I don't know if he's going to return some pick sixes, force some fumbles, but he's definitely going to be out there making some plays. And finally, my favorite player on this Klotz's watch list. He's turning into one of my favorite players in all of the NFL. He's not the best. You guys know how I feel about the Juwan Jennings of the NFL. And Ray Davis is that at the running back position. When you look at Ray Davis, fellas, I don't care. Cook me all you want. Stats are going to tell you otherwise. Ray Davis is better than James Cook. I do not care what anybody has to say. Ray Davis, if you don't know who he is, you've probably seen the meme of him when he's sitting at the sideline in Kentucky and the commentator's going, Ray Davis is the guy where his mom and dad left him. Nobody wanted him, but the University of Kentucky coach just had to have him. He's a gritty motherfucker. He's only 5'8", so he's never going to be a workhorse type of back. But if you watch Ray Davis, this man has caught a 50-yard bomb from Josh Allen run outside the pocket. He's put up multiple performances where he's averaging 5 yards a carry. And I think when you look at this Bills offense this week, we talked about it. They're going to try to run the ball, in my opinion. And I think with James Cook, he's not the power runner that they have. They might try to get him some tosses off the tackle, but in between the tackles, it's going to be Ray Davis. And what makes him so hard to tackle and find is, like I said, he's 5'8". So behind that offensive line, Jack Campbell, Jamal Adams, those guys, they're not going to be able to locate him right away because he's going to be hitting gaps at different speeds. So Ray Davis, Christian Benford, and Terrell Bernard, fellas, those are 3 guys that I think you have to watch out for. Not the biggest names, not the smallest names, but those are 3 guys that I think will have an impact on Sunday against the Detroit Lions. That's what I have this week, fellas.
Great.
Honorable mention too, Boone. I wanted to throw Mac Hollins in here.
Oh, no.
With Keon coming back, I don't think he's going to have a Mac Hollins game that he has recently. I think Keon's going to cut into his snap count a lot.
That's fair.
Ray Davis.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Caleb won the first touchdown bet, like a boatload of money on Ray Davis, and I've been trying to key in on Ray Davis. I don't know. I didn't know about him.
And you're gonna like try to Google like Ray Davis highlights, and there's gonna be nothing that comes up. Like there might be like 3 plays, but you'll see what I'm talking about when he's on the field. You're just like, guy's got some fucking juice. Like how I was with Jaylen Warren, and he's kind of fallen down a little bit, my stock. But that's how I feel about Ray Davis. I think he's going to be a very good pro.
I think it's interesting with Ray Davis. Klotz, can I just say this? The Ray Davis is going to have zero impact in this game because of the Detroit Lions. Because the Detroit Lions run defense. The run defense. I mean, if it was any other team, like if you were like, hey, they're going up against this team or this team or this team, I'd be like, yeah, Ray has had, and I'm with you, Klotzy, like versus the Jets, he had 97 yards. Versus the 49ers, he had 63, 41 versus the Titans, 8.2 yards per carry. Unbelievable day. But versus the Detroit Lions run defense, that's as good as they are, especially Lee McNeil's going to be back. DJ Reader was back today. Yep. Please tell me where, and I'm not, this isn't me going at, this is just me being honest with you. Yeah. I agree with you. Ray Davis is a watch out guy. I just think versus Lions defense, the best thing that they do is stop the run. So the backup running back, in my opinion, I'm out on. You know, I would have me.
That's very fair, personally. But that like my counterpoint to that would be me. Like when I tell you, I believe that Ray Davis is a better overall running back than James Cook. If there's going to be a guy on the,
he is not a better overall running back.
Call me crazy. Don't care.
This is like your Clayton tune. This is
Ray Davis in 2 years, and I was wrong. Ray Davis is 5'10", not 5'8". That will be Ray Davis's backfield. They're not going to re-sign James Cook. James Cook is very good. He's not elite. James Cook is very good. Elite running backs do not have multiple games under 30 yards rushing. They just don't, unless you're elite to the air, and James Cook can't catch the ball. Ray Davis can catch the ball than James Cook can right now, and I think that'll be a huge factor, especially with a banged-up linebacking core. And when you look in between the tackles, he's not going to get the carries that James Cook does, but when you watch Ray Davis run the ball, you're like, who the fuck is that guy? Because he's got great balance, he has great vision, and he knows how to run through tackles. So I think Ray Davis compared to James Cook is going to be like, okay, he's the starter right now. He's having a very good season. He's got 11 touchdowns on the year. But Ray Davis, I'm telling you, if there's going to be a running back making a difference for the Bills on Sunday, it won't be James Cook.
I mean, one average is 4.3 yards a carry. The other one's 4.6. One average is more than the other.
I'm telling you, hey, hear me now, Boone. You know what you can do?
Believe in anything later. Ray Davis is he's going to be very good on this football team, but like we're getting into
what are we getting?
We're getting into like Jahmyr Gibbs, Demont type. Like
no.
I'm not saying they're on that level. I'm not saying they're on that level, but I'm saying like the
Ray Davis, I think, is a Chase Brown level running back. Boone.
He is not better than James Cook. He's not.
He will be, without a doubt.
Caleb's in the chat. Caleb's just kind of like man, I agree with Klotz. He's better than James Cook. He's not better than James Cook today. This is not.
If you give
the day Klotz
carries here, and it's hard to say, but this
you
is
can
how
say that, and then we can go to their yards per carry, and then we can
let me
solve
answer
that
the question.
real quick.
Let me
one's had 100 more carries, or maybe even more.
You asked me a question. Let me answer.
I didn't actually ask anything.
If you were to give James Cook, you did. You were like, you think James Cook is? But if you were to give James Cook 20 touches, and you give Ray Davis the same 20 touches, I believe Ray Davis will have more production.
Klotz, you're stating that, and there's literally a fact that James Cook has 100 more carries than Ray Davis, so he has more sample, like he a chance for him to get backed up even more, and he almost averages a yard more per carry. If we're talking about give them the exact same, like, dude, they have carries, and it's a proven fact. One averages more than the other.
Boone, how many?
I'm just saying that's a fact. We're not talking receiver. We're talking carries. We're talking carries. We're not talking receptions. We're talking carries.
If we're not, so we're talking carries. Guy in year one is averaging a yard under with much less carries. So if he has one bad run, it's definitely going to affect that yards per carry.
James Cook has 100 more runs to be able to have.
He has 100 more. He has 100 more runs.
Have 100 bad runs.
So how many carries does Ray Davis have on the season? So if
this is such an irrelevant argument, because if you gave Ray Davis those carries, I'm not arguing Ray Davis and James Cook. We're talking the Lions Bills right now. This is so irrelevant.
But you wanted to go down this rabbit hole.
I did not. I just said Ray Davis. You guys can love Ray Davis all you want. No, hold on. And you and Caleb, you guys can love Ray Davis all you want. You're going up against the Detroit Lions, a top 5 rush defense in the NFL. He's not doing anything. I'll promise you that.
Hey,
And if he gets
That might
20,
be
if he
right.
gets
He's doing more than
couple-
James Cook, though.
I don't want to hear anything.
Hey,
I don't
Klotz.
want to hear anything. He's not going out there and making a big impact. I love you, Klotzy. Ray Davis isn't versus Detroit Lions.
Klotz,
One
might
defense.
either of you, either of you might have a clip right now for Monday. You might have to clip whoever happens. Let's say Ray
I'm not
Davis.
clipping anything about Ray Davis. What is it? Just
No,
like
no, I'm saying to send. Hey, talk a little shit. What if
oh,
Ray
just send it to each other. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not clipping anything Ray Davis until
Ray Davis, dog.
Caleb, this is where Caleb is just dead wrong. He can make an impact. Buddy, Caleb, I'm sorry, bud, to do this to you. They're the best rush defense in the NFL. He's going to run eight carries for 16 yards.
I don't tell you, Boone. If they're going to throw to a running back, it's going to be Ty Johnson or Ray Davis. And besides last week, without a doubt, the receiving back in Buffalo that's had the most success is Ray Davis.
He will average under 4 yards per carry on Sunday whenever he touches the ball.
I won't deny that.
Yeah.
But James Cook will
He's
too,
not
and
doing
one of them's
anything
better in the
Sunday.
receiving game. That's all I'm saying.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I know I don't really know if I like Ray Davis, but I know I don't like. I'm not a huge James Cook guy. I just sound.
Which is fine, but the fact that Ray Davis is a backup running back versus the Lions, just stout run defense is on there for, hey, watch out, Ray Davis. I think this is like if we weren't talking about the Lions matchup, Klotzy, and it was like, hey, a running back around the league to look out for over the next couple of years, Ray Davis. But geez, man, we're talking about the Lions run defense, top 5 in the NFL. The backup running back.
This is what this list is for, Boone.
It's been wrong before too. So.
Been right though.
Yeah,
well, for sure it has, but not versus the Lions run defense with DJ Reader and Lee McNeil.
Through the air.
and then Scott joins and Scott goes, change of pace back. They got Ray Davis.
Yeah, he's like, he's much harder to bring down.
It was funny as hell. I was like, of course, Scott, the ball knower. And then Lucas is over there just, let's fucking go. Scott giving Ray Davis. Didn't even ask about Ray Davis. Scott brought him up out of his own. I'm gonna bring up Ray Davis.
Hey, Ray Davis, he might have a great career. By the way, Debo just dropped a wide open pass down the middle. Could have been a touchdown. He could have a great career. He could have a good career. He could have a better career than James Cook. I do not care. But versus the Detroit Lions, man's not doing anything.
So I've never put a running back on this list like Caleb says.
Not a backup running back. You could do a running back, but not a backup.
So what if I think a player could have a big game or a big play in the game? Leave him off?
No, but a backup. I'm not saying take him off your list. Caleb could sit there. You can't. I'm not saying you can't have him on your list, but I'm saying you can put him on your list. A backup running back is not going to go off for 70 yards versus the Detroit Lions. A watch out player.
70.
What, one run? No, you can't have one run for a watch out player. Your watch out player is someone say, hey, watch out for him. He could have a big impact on this game and really change the game. We're not talking about just, hey, watch out for this guy that can have one tackle. Oh, this guy, he can go out there and have one tackle. He's going to really make it. No. Dude. You're going to have running backs on the list, but we're a backup running back versus one of the best run defenses in the NFL.
I'm going to pull a Booner, and I'm going to exaggerate here. I'm going to just start putting Amari Cooper, Gregory Rousseau, and guys that
don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm not going to make any bold predictions.
Listen,
I'm not going to give anything that could have some potential shock factor. I'm going to go with the guys that every week are going to get you 70 yards.
Klotz,
and everybody knows that's what I'm going to do.
You can
that's
put
what I'm going to
on
do.
your list
I was told to get the Ray Davises, and I'm getting them.
No.
You don't like them. I'll go get the Khalil Shakirs.
30,
that's what I'll do.
30. All right, time out. 30. Let's all right. Let's chill over there, brother. All right, let's relax. Listen, I did not say take the man off your list. Klotz, I love it when you give me guys. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I love this. But I will tell you my opinion that he will not have an impact on the football game. And so you can't be mad when I say that. That doesn't mean I'm like removing
James Cook again. So
I'm still on my 30-second timeout. Come on. Now, Klotz, I didn't say, hey, take the guy off the list completely. Listen, just backup running backs. I say I wouldn't put him on my list, and I don't think he's going to have an impact. Now, if you think that, hey, you could throw a watch out guy on your list for, maybe he breaks off for a 15-yard run, okay. But you know what?
Ray Davis.
I was hoping
50
to see
total
like,
yards
I don't
loading.
know, Teron Johnson or something on the list.
Teron Johnson's an all-pro player. What are we
Yeah,
talking about?
I was hoping to see it. Watch out for the man.
Boom.
Household name.
Watch out for the man. He's not a household name, Teron Johnson.
30.
He's an all-pro.
Booner,
Yeah,
as your
all pros. Hey,
Boone,
Oh my God! So Zaire Franklin's a household name.
yes.
Boone, as your PR guy.
I don't know. I just like Teron Johnson. I was watching film on him today. Very, very fine player.
Hey, as your PR guy, we don't want to contradict. Let's not even bring up that.
Now, listen, I wasn't telling him. I
Because
wasn't telling him to take him off. I was not. I just, I just don't think he's a
Will Rock.
watch out guy.
Will Rock calls us the Three Stooges. Hey,
Shout out Will Rock. I was watching him this morning on my drive into work. Will's
Yeah,
a funny guy. By the way, too, it reminds me too because Will's a season
Will's-
ticket holder, or him or Eric are the season ticket holder. Can I just say this?
I think both are.
And people might hate me for saying this. I don't really care. Welcome to being good at football. Welcome to being good at football. Like, welcome to being the Kansas City Chiefs and the best team in the NFL. Like, tickets. I think Lions fans forever have been not blessed because the team was so bad, blessed with the price of the tickets, and they were like the lowest in the NFL. And then last year they kind of averaged out, and now this next year it's like, hey, you're the best team in football. I'm seeing tweets. I kid you guys not. And when I saw these tweets today, my jaw dropped. I saw people tweeting out, being like, I kind of wish the Lions were bad again, so the tickets are cheaper.
Oh my God,
That's insane.
whoever said that.
Blasphemy.
I can show you guys. I'll show you guys off air. But I've seen these tweets. We have our whole lives said, hey, I would do this for a Super Bowl. I would give up this for a Super Bowl. I would give up this for a Super Bowl. Now that ticket prices have like doubled, and it's like, hey, would you do this for a Super Bowl? Instantly, people are like, this is the worst thing. Welcome to being relevant. Welcome to being good. You have to pay more money. It's ridiculous, man.
Michael says you guys need to get off X. And we are bitching about X.
World.
Yeah, we really do. We bitch about Twitter, all these people on Twitter a lot. But it's true. I mean, something, hey, Michael.
Our job to be on there. We have to read all
we
these
got to
things.
see the bullshit, Michael. I mean, hey.
But isn't that crazy? I don't know. I get it. Like, prices have doubled since like 2 years. But dude, like, welcome to being 12-1 with the chance to win a Super Bowl. Like, it comes with the territory.
That's terrible, man.
It does.
So much complaining on Twitter, and I love a lot of the people who were even putting it out there. But dude, it is ridiculous.
Hey, it's free speech, but doesn't mean there aren't idiots. You know what I mean? Hey,
I think I'm in the minority of people with that take, because I think majority of people are like, lower the prices. But for me, it was just like,
lower the prices, no doubt, but not for Lions to lose again.
I mean, dude, lower the price. I guess you could lower them, but it's just like, hey, that's what you get with the good team. Like, welcome to like.
I wonder what like the Chiefs like prices are. Like,
I don't even think the Lions.
Stupid.
You think the Lions would be number one? Probably.
Well, the
not.
Chiefs, I guess Chiefs are a tough one because they won like multiple Super Bowls. But you get my point.
But you're at that level to where you're going to be winning Super Bowls, hopefully. So they're like, hey, we have to charge this. Like, this is where these teams tier out at.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, it comes with the territory. If you don't like it, then I don't know. Become a Bears fan.
Well, if you don't like it, then just watch it at home.
Go watch Ray Davis for a living. I don't know.
Come on now.
Come out and hang with us. Come out and hang with us at a bar.
Hey, and by the way, the Packers have more expensive season tickets than the Lions do right now. So
okay, so yeah, I mean,
we can all calm it down a little bit, and you're sitting outside in fucking Green Bay, Wisconsin, and you're paying thousands of dollars for that. Come on,
they may be shareholders. You know,
watch Lil Wayne run out of a tunnel.
All those it's a community. It's a community franchise.
I still don't understand how Lil Wayne's a Packers fan. Man grew up in New Orleans.
I mean, the Saints are right there.
Well, hey. Good show today. I'm gonna be honest. If you stuck to 10 o'clock, you guys are fucking awesome. All right, Trey and Michael. By the way, I know Thursday Night Football, but also more than that,
terrible, dude.
Hey, it was tough today. All right, we had some. Hey, we had Morgan. Love him. Just dealing with some internet issues. Me pulling up the wrong AG clip. You know, it's just.
Hey, She'll bounce back.
Dion, a little bit of audio issues. This show fucking stinks, but also it's amazing. All right, it's amazing. And I love you guys. Love everyone in the chat. Get your merchandise, FisherCitySports.com. It's available. It's available now. And go watch any content that you might have missed. It's on our YouTube channel.
But you guys see you tomorrow.
Hey, so tomorrow, it's Friday. You know what that means. Previewing the game, getting into the game. We got our Pick'em, updated Pick'em records.
Hey, we Booner's keys to victory. I guess we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll leave.
Forgot about Boone today. It's all right.
No, we got Boone. Hey,
be all right. Be all right, Boone.
You got to add it in the prep, Boone. That's a great topic.
We were filled out today. We had 6 guests, so figure we could just wait.
I wish the chat could have seen the debate about that.
I honestly love the boys, man. It is unbelievable. I love the fellas.
This guy, dude. All right, you know what, Boone? I'll be the. It's on me. How about that?
Shout out Trey, man.
It's on me. Yeah, no, yeah. Shout out Trey. Love the guests. We'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, take care.
Love you guys.
Have a great night. See you.
Peace.